Search is over, now welcome to First Mint. Looking for NFT content, look no further cause this is it. From Top Shot to blockchain, they got the data chops, analysis, impact drops, the show's equator hot. LG and Phil D, the best amongst others. Best brothers that happen to ball since the Ball Brothers. So settle in cause it's time for the best show. Ayo Quad, who we reppin'? First Mint. Let's go.
Whoa! What's up?
Wow.
What is going on?
I was, I'm getting right into it, LG. I was on a show a couple days ago on an evaluate
different
trade-a-thon.
show.
A different show.
Evaluate market trade-a-thon.
But we'll talk about that show later because I was on with quite the character or quite the cast of guests. But
wait, for context, hold on. Evaluate market, fantastic platform, is an analytics platform. Was the way that we checked our portfolios in the early Top Shot days, and still is. You can still do that for a lot of other collections. But now they have a trading feature, which is really, I've used it a few times. It's freaking awesome. You can use it for Flow NFTs. You can use it for ETH NFTs. It just matches you with like a trading partner. And I've traded a few times with other people on there. It works super well. So anyways, go on. And they host shows called trade-a-thons to promote the fact that you can trade. They've done like, I think it's like 9,000 or 10,000 trades have been done on their platform now. It's very impressive.
Well, we're not going to.
You were on the trade-a-thon.
I was on the trade-a-thon, and before that's a story in itself. But before we go on, just as part of the intro here, I was asked at the end if I had any final words, and I was put on the screen as a single unit when my turn came up. And I'm like, you know what? I never know what to say. What are my final words? Like, hey, go listen to the First Mint. Like, no, that's weird.
Yeah,
like,
some kind of plug. Yeah, no, you're not.
I'm not a plug type of person. So I just said, whoa, and then Jen Sudo was like, what? I don't get it. Like, that's it. Signing off. See you next time. And then I had to explain that I do that in malls and I do that, at work.
It's your thing.
And it is my thing, right? Like no matter where you do it, people look. And sometimes I like to play around and not look. Like I'll look back as well. Like I'll drop that in the mall or at work in the cafeteria. I'll be like, whoa. And then I'll look back like this, be like, who said that? And everyone's like, who the hell said that? Right. But no, people know me by now.
What we should do is we should sell that soundbite as an NFT and make it so that people can download it onto their phone and play it when they're in public. So that even like in situations like where you're describing like at a mall, or Phil also do this, like if you're at like a baptism, Phil will yell whoa like in the church. Like it's the priest, like to the priest, and the priest will yell it back. That's how intoxicating the whoa is. But yeah, you could sell like different versions. There's 10 different woes that you can collect, and some are legendary and some are rare. And you could sell that as an NFT, and then it comes with unlockable content. You can download it onto your phone and play it as you please. You can play the Phil D woe out in public. I think like people that. Go. I think people go.
You just reminded me of something. I want to ask you something. I was actually at a baptism on the weekend. It's probably why you said that, but. Afterwards, as is the tradition with all the baptisms in our family, we did a party after, and the priest is invited. Everybody's invited. Big dinner party.
Huge
and the priest, of course, who always accuses me of having gum in my mouth and all sorts of nonsense like that. Like he knows. Okay, he knows. Like he'll look at me sometimes. Yeah, he always says that. I said he looked at me last time. He's like, "Uh-oh, trouble's here." And I said, "No, I don't have any gum in my mouth. You want to come check? I don't at all." But so I sat him. He sat with me. And he's like, "All right, we need to talk." I'm like, "All right, let's talk." And before I tell you what he said, I want to ask you something. You know the confession box at church where you see the movies all the time?
I know what it is, but I've never been to it.
I assume that people's only kind of experience or interaction with confessionary box would be seeing it in movies where you go in there and it's like that little door opens and you're like, dear Father, I have sinned. Here's what I did and all that stuff, right? But that's all I've ever seen, but I've always seen that box. And for years now, when I go to church, and it's always the same church, I always go into that box. Okay. I don't really have anything crazy to say. I want the experience of that little door sliding open. And then I just want to talk and see what kind of stuff you say, or if it's like is it a two-way conversation? So what I want to ask you, LG, is what's your image of a confessionary box? Do you go in there and the priest is already sitting in there waiting and he slides a little door open? Or do you have to schedule a time to meet the priest? And if you believe that, do you meet the priest like at the front door and then he's like, come on, let's go in? Or do you book like
Right.
3:00 and you go into the box and he's in there on the other side? Like, what's your vision of that? Because I have my own vision. I want to hear yours first.
I would actually assume that it's like an in between of those two where the priest has like office hours. So there's confessional box like times, right? Because it's not realistic for there to be a priest that just sits there all day waiting. And then there's only because in any given day, how much time is going to be taken up in that confessional box? Like maybe an hour or two. Some people got some baggage, they got a lot to share, so maybe longer. But I would say it'd make the most sense that it's like, hey, like after mass on Sundays, the confession box is open for 2 hours and you can get in line behind other people to wait for it, kind of thing. But I would say it's like office hours for like a teacher or something like that, where it's like you got to show up during that time, and you can schedule it in advance if you want, but you can email the priest, I'm assuming, which is the thing now. But I would say that's how the confession box works.
So if you were to walk into church right now, it's open, it's whatever, and you were to go into that box, you don't expect anyone to be on the other side waiting?
I don't expect anybody to be on the other side.
Like
no,
when you sit in there, like, do you knock? Like this is what I mean, though. This is what I was trying to tell him. Like, I don't think the process is clear as to how it works. Like, do you book time? Do you walk in there and knock on the little window?
Yeah, there can't be a dude just sitting there the whole time.
But
you know what I mean? Like,
this is what I called him out
on. Yeah.
I said, dude, I've been in there so many times, man, and you're never there. And you or the other priests, you guys are never in there. But then he started getting suspicious, like, wow, he's like, is there something you really need to tell me? I said, no.
Exactly.
And I said, I don't think you understand. I'm curious, and I go all over the place when we're in church. And I've always been intrigued because it's such a big part of movies and TV shows that people go in there and that door swings open. Like, what have you done? And it's like, yeah, here's what I've done, right? But he got really suspicious, and like I just told him, I said, man, you have to be clearer with your instructions. Like, there should be some kind of process or a booking system if we have to book you to confess. But then I'm like, wait a sec, what am I confessing here? Like, I don't even know what I'm doing. Like, this is not good. I got to stop this conversation. I kind of just moved on, right? But
you're definitely. I think by doing that often, you're definitely signaling to him that you've got something to say, that you've got something that you're desperate to get off your chest. So he's definitely going to be like targeting you now.
But I always have to avoid him. When I get in there, I have to like hide all the time, because as soon as he sees you, he'll probably ask you to read something. And I don't want to read anything. I don't want to go up in the front. I'm not ready. I know, like I said, I have gum in my mouth half the time. So I don't want to be caught with that in front of everybody reading it, like the sermon or whatever it is you're reading, right? He's always got some huge script he's reading. And it's quite the experience. But yeah, he's caught on to me. He's caught on to my antics. He tells me to shut up all the time, actually, in front of the entire church. Because you know what? All the little kids, I'm there, and like they're always around me. So I'm always making noises. And the other day he was looking right at me, and he's trying to tell me something. And I'm there picking up stuff from the kids. Like, there's toys everywhere, and I'm playing around. And he's like, hello. He's always putting me on the spot, man. But it takes me back to high school. That was always me in the class. This, it was always no matter what I did, other kids could be throwing things at each other. If I said one word, the teacher would look right at me like, yeah, you're out of here. So I'm kind of used to getting picked on. But yeah, I think it's interesting. Like, I'd love to know how people feel about that, because, again, what we see in movies is kind of how we're conditioned in the mind to think how things work. But he laughed at me when I said that. And he's like, no, that's not how it works. Like, you have to actually book a time and we work through it together. And we talk, like, you don't just go in there and say, hey, I killed someone, like, no, that's not how it works.
No, it doesn't. You don't just start like that. I would say as well, actually, that I think the way it's depicted in movies is always a joke. You know what I mean? Like, there's no, like, I've never seen a movie where it's just, they just do it in a normal way, where someone's like, you know what, I really have to, I've had these feelings about something and I have to go share them. Like, I've never seen that. In movies, it's always like a funny thing that they went into the confessional to do something crazy or say something funny. Like, even like Seinfeld, it's always like some kind of joke about it, right? So,
in the movies, it's usually the killer on the other side, and he's like, "Hey, father,
the killer,"
and then the guy like reaches through and stabs him in the neck.
What the fuck movie is that? I've never seen a movie like that.
I'm telling you, there's movies out there where the confessionary box is like the assault place, like like Scream. The guy's on the other side and pokes his head through.
No, I've never seen that. I've only seen stuff where it's like kind of perverted or something like that.
Did you see the guy who won the lotto and he went to claim his money with the Scream mask on because he doesn't want his family to know who he is? That was like yesterday. You didn't see that? He won like
no.
He won like 170
How do you know
million.
about this kind of? How do you know about this kind of?
I'm telling you, all you have to do is look that up. Lotto Scream mask, and you'll see the guy in 2 seconds. It's like, so well, your name is still there. You think like it's as if Phil Doucette won the lottery. I wore a Scream mask. And people are like, oh my God, you think that's him? Like, come on.
Oh man, that is good. Did you all right, well thanks for sharing your, I guess that was your confession about the confession booth. Like, so it's like kind of a very meta thing where you share to us your confession thoughts about the actual confession booth.
But I
So,
haven't had my session yet, which is what I'm looking for. I just want to see how
oh,
it works,
you need
right?
a session.
I need a session not to confess, just to see how the process works. Like, does he ask you questions? Do you have to say, like, you know, like, how does it, this is what I can't get over the fact that I don't know this. And I've been going to church for 20, 30 years. And I don't know how it works to confess, because we didn't go through that whole process as kids, right? I mean, we were baptized and all that, but we didn't go through that whole process where no, we didn't go to a Catholic school.
We weren't church goers, you know, either. Like, we didn't really go to church for, we didn't really do that very much.
But you don't confess in high school. It's like a grade school thing.
It's an interesting concept as well, because then it's also a way that it's like the local priest then like knows everything. And I don't mean like, and I'm obviously looking at it from like a cynical standpoint, but it's like, that's a dope position to have, because then not only do you know like all the gossip of like, all right, who's like, let's be honest, in small towns, like who's sleeping with who, but also like, you know, like the secret thoughts that people have, as like even the stuff that hasn't happened yet. And you're like, oh shit. So it's actually like, everybody wants to know secrets, right? Like everybody, you know, that's one of the most exciting things that happens to you when you're a kid, or even now when someone's like, hey, I have a secret. Somebody to tell you, you know, like that's really thrilling. So I guess being a priest is like, that's awesome, because then that's all people ever tell you. But at the same time, people probably share like really horrific things with you. So I'm sure it's a balance. I'm sure it's not just like all like juicy things. I'm sure it's some pretty gnarly stuff too. So you know, people need a lot of help. So I think that's good. I think confession box. I don't know how it works, Phil, but I'll say that I think it's a good thing. People need more of that in their lives, like a safe place to share things that they're not sure about. So I think that's generally a good thing for mental health. Let's say that the confession box is a very early way of mitigating mental health, because they give the community a safe outlet for their deepest, darkest thoughts. Let's put it that way.
Before we end this conversation, but what if someone tells the priest, like, I just killed 5 people? Does the priest just sit on that? Like,
yeah, I don't know how that shit works.
There's no way, right? There's no way you can go tell a priest, like, hey, you know, I'm this wanted fugitive in Canada, and this is where I'm hiding. Don't tell anybody.
No,
you know, there's no way.
I think the priest reserves the right that it's like, if they feel they're in danger or somebody else is in danger, then I think they can do. I think God lets the priest go do something about it. Like, if somebody walks in there's like, I just killed 5 people. Like, the priest is probably like, I don't want to die. You know,
like tell me more. Like, how are you feeling? Like,
how did you feel doing it? Like, I don't think they're gonna.
But what do you do? Does he call from the other side? Like, hey, I got him in here in the box. Like, there's no way. Like, listen, when we had all the questions about prison and pack drops in jail, we actually had a member of our community reach out. I think he worked at a jail.
Yes.
He was telling us like how it works. I forgot.
Yes.
Who was it again? I think it was.
I'm not going to say who it was. I
okay.
Who
yeah, no, that's right.
I'm not going to reveal their like real life job.
That's right.
It is somebody active in the First Mint who has worked at correctional facilities. I don't know if they still do, but they have worked and they work in that space, and they do great work.
So if you're in the community and you've ever been a priest or something close to a priest, let us know, man. I'm super intrigued.
That's more people than you think, actually. Usually when something like that comes up, I'm actually surprised typically if someone's be like, yes, actually, I used to be a pastor. Like, that's actually something that a lot of people followed at some point in their lives, like, and don't do anymore. They're like, and then I was like 28 and I decided to, you know, not do it anymore and go get a normal job or something like that. But it's surprisingly more people than you think often, I find. Or even I knew this girl when I was like 21 and she was in university and she's like, I'm going to be a rabbi. And I was like, whoa, wow. Like, that's just like, this is intense, you know, like that was like, shit, man. And then she never became a rabbi.
I think that's when you've done a lot of bad as a teenager, as a kid. You're just like, I need to kind of make myself feel better. Like, was she a bad kid?
You mean it's your redemption?
It's kind of your redemption, but you never actually do it. You're just like, you know what? I'm changing my. It's like when you go to jail and while they're in there, they say that they found, you know, Jesus Christ again. But the minute they come out, they freaking go right back to like chaos. Like,
maybe, I don't know. The other thing too is that like media, like the mainstream media or like movies have a lot of things that like glorify both of those. You know, movies like The Town and like Sopranos, where it's like, hey, yeah, we're like, we go to church and the community, and then it's like, let's just kill a bunch of people. You know what I mean? Like, they have these weird crossovers where, like, I think it's actually in the movie The Town where they go to the confessional and they're like mobsters, you know, and they dress up as nuns to rob the bank. You know? So it's all this like horrific. You haven't seen The Town with Ben Affleck, Jeremy Renner.
Oh no, I've never seen that.
John Hamm.
No.
It's a good movie. It's a really, really good heist movie. But yeah, it's like, hey, they're good guys in the community and they kill a bunch of people. Like it's just so bad. It's like, don't glamorize this. But it's cool. It's cool. You know, at the same time, you're like, Robin Banks looks kind of cool until they get killed at the end. But anyways, not gonna say anything else.
Wow,
Phil, let's talk talk sports, man. This is honestly like, this is such a great time of the year for sports. Because I'll tell you why too, is where I am, it's been raining like crazy for the last 2-3 weeks, which is a little bit abnormal for West Coast spring. But as a result, it's like, man, Saturdays and Sundays, like having games on all day, both NHL and NBA, has been fucking awesome, honestly. And a lot of these first round matchups have been great, as you know, Phil. And actually, I don't think I shared this last week when the playoffs started. I have a bet going with Sam J from the First Mint community, and the bet is basically on which team will go further, the Warriors or the Suns. And it's because in Top Shot, you can pick, you had the chance to pick who you thought was going to be the finals MVP before the playoffs started. And I went with a very dark horse pick in Klay Thompson, and Sam J picked Kevin Durant. And then that turned into a bet of which player we thought was going to go further. And the bet, the loser has to buy all the redemption champions path moments of the other guy's team.
That's a good bet.
And that's a loaded bet. So if I'm wrong, like not only like let's say, you know, I could lose, like if the Warriors don't go to the second round and the Suns go to the second round, but then they lose, then I have to buy him all the first and second round moments of the Suns. But if the Suns go all the way to the finals and win, I have to give him all of those. So it's a little bit twisted right now, especially when the Warriors went down 2-0 to the Kings. So I was like, oh, this might have been a really bad idea to do this. But it's come back. Now the series is tied. It's tied now, so it's a better chance. But yeah, I've got a pretty loaded bet going. And if the teams were to meet, it would be in the Western Conference Final, which would also be a pretty spicy meeting, let's say, between the Warriors and the Suns in the Western Conference Final. Obviously, that'd be a fantastic Western Conference Final if it happened. A lot of other teams in the way right now, but it's added definitely an extra dimension to watching both, like the Suns series, which is kind of sucks now because Kawhi's out, but also the Warriors series ruined, where they really just barely squeaked by in Game 4 either. Right. Yeah.
No, the Kawhi thing is like, you know what? Stephen A. Smith went crazy on him the other day, calling it a complete disgrace that he's missing. He's like, dude, this is a playoffs, man. You know, and it's hard because if you look at a sport like hockey and even football sometimes, which are very high contact sports, you've had guys with broken this, torn this, and all that. They play right through it no matter what. Right. And in the NBA, every other game, you've got Anthony Davis going down like he's been shot. LeBron took a little shot in the nutsack the other day, and he was down for like an hour, dead, right? Which I'm entertained. Honestly, I've said this so many times. The NBA never fails. No matter what, something happens every single night. You know, the Dillon Brooks thing, still not over. They're still talking about it. Now, he's come out and blamed the media today for making him the villain. Then some Grizzlies insider says that the Grizzlies have already looked at options to get rid of him for next year, and he's playing his last few games with the Grizzlies ever right now. I'm like, what's going on here? But this is the NBA. That's the NBA, right? But some news for you, LG. I don't know if you saw it. It kind of came out right before we started recording. Is that Darren Fox broke his finger yesterday, and he is likely out for the next game. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, it happened at some point in the game, which is, it's hard to believe because if you watch the game, didn't he hit that big 3-pointer at the end?
Yeah,
he did, right?
Did, yeah.
So you say okay, his finger was broken then.
Really?
So why the hell can't he play? But it's an adrenaline thing, right? It's like in the moment when you don't know it's broken.
You tape that up.
You just tape that up and play.
Yeah.
But you know what? It's also mind games. I don't believe anything teams and coaches say in the playoffs. You know, like going back to the NHL and the Toronto Maple Leafs, which, go Leafs, go baby. That series, the two coaches continuously lie in the media by saying okay, so earlier today, Sheldon Keefe is like, we've got several big name players that are game time decisions tonight. This is saying this is the end of the world. All of them might not play. I'm like, dude, shut up, man. Everybody's playing. He said this last game. He's like, big changes coming to the lineup, possibly. no changes to the lineup, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
you know, they like to play mind games. So of course, the Kings are going to say, hey, Darren Fox is likely out for the next game. But man, again, if he was able to play through it for me and hit the kind of shots he was hitting, but you know, you don't know how bad it is. So, but I feel like they can't, because the home team for me is going to not lose a single game in that series. I feel like he has to play. I don't care what, you know, unless the pain is a 10 out of 10. And don't forget, they have things they can give them. They have injections they can give them.
Of course.
They got all sorts of shit they can give
but
them.
It's a matter, right? It's actually, I think it's less so pain. It's more so a matter of hurting it further. Right. Like I think it's like further aggravating the injury.
But for me in this series is like, there is no further. This is, you have to hold serve. You're the home team. You're Sacramento. If you're going to knock off the defending, are they defending champs? Am I losing my mind?
Yeah, Warriors. Yeah, they won last year.
No, sorry. Okay, defending champs. I was thinking I skipped a year there. Defending champs, one of the dynasties of our age. If you're going to knock these guys off, you're just going to have to keep winning at home. You don't have to win that road game. They do. They've been one of the worst road teams on the year. But if you don't have Darren Fox, he's been labeled as the next big superstar in the league. If you don't have Darren Fox at home, that's like the Warriors are going to smell blood, if you ask me. And even if you just have him out there, I don't know what his capabilities are. I think you have to have him out there, man. I do. I think you have to dress him. You can't give the Warriors that psychological advantage going into that game. That's tough.
And it's tough too, because the long breaks, you know, the NBA likes to add these huge 3-day breaks between games, but the long breaks are about to end. Like they have a 3-day break this time, like game 5 is Wednesday. But then after that, it's like game 6 is Friday and game 7 is Sunday. That's like, it's like I mean, it's the travel is very short, obviously, from Sacramento to
like
San Francisco, but so it's not like other, you know, it's not like the Bucks and the Heat or something like that where they have to go pretty far, or even the Grizzlies. Lakers is a good example, being in the Western Conference, and Memphis is so far. But yeah, that's tough, man. I don't know, the idea of, I don't know, it's tough with young players because you don't want to further injure them. I would say for like a finger, I don't know how much you need to protect that. I'll always go back in terms of like, should young players play injured or not in the playoffs? To RG3. RG3 to me is like such a big what if in the NFL. That's back in the day where I watched a lot of NFL. That one year that had the 4 massive quarterbacks come out, which was the year of Andrew Luck, RG3, Russell Wilson, and Colin Kaepernick. We're all rookies that year, all phenomenal. And RG3 like hurt his knee in the wild card game, and they're like, you know what, he's going to play the next week or whatever it was, and he like fumbled the ball and like fell so awkwardly over top of his knee on that play and was never the same again. And that was always like a big what if for Washington of like, should they have played him? It was his first year. And that ruined his pop, which was like a lot of his game. So for young guys like De'Aaron Fox is only like 24, right? Like, if it was a knee thing, I would say he should sit. Like if it's a knee thing, no way, he shouldn't play. For finger, I don't know. You know, Kobe Bryant played half his career with like a fucking mangled pinky finger, right? So it didn't slow him down. Well, it did, but not significantly. But you're right. Against the Warriors, like you want any chance to beat them, you can't have guys like Fox.
I don't think they're winning a road game. Nobody's winning a road game in that series now. And you know what? Sacramento had a chance yesterday. They hit that shot at the end, and I think it was Harrison Barnes. It's over. It was actually shocking how the Warriors blew that 5-6 point lead in the last minute there. Steph didn't know they didn't have a timeout, and he admitted it after. He's like, my whole team was like, what are you doing? And he's like, I had no idea. Like, I thought it was the smartest play. Like
who did that? Who's a famous person? Was it Chris Webber? Who did that? Was it?
Yeah, I think it was Webber. Yeah.
That's
at the end of a game called timeout. Didn't have one. And then Steph actually shot the ball with like 15 seconds left when he could have actually called timeout, and they still had like 5 or 6 seconds on the shot clock. I don't really know what he was doing.
He had a lot of little.
But then Harrison Barnes, why is he taking the shot? Like, you know, Darren Fox just hit that massive shot, and if they were smart, actually, I would have just played off the miss and let Darren Fox take it to the basket. He's that good. But by taking that timeout, I was like, whoa, okay, well, if you really want to let these champs, this dynasty set up defensively, and they played it really well, actually. Steph was all over him on that shot, even though there's a height difference. They kind of made a mistake there, right? When you want to beat such a giant, sometimes you can't give them a chance. It goes back to these timeouts in hockey. When I call that timeout in the House League final, I'm like, do I let the other player on the other team rest by calling this timeout? But I waited and I'm like, you know what? It's better if my guys rest. I have 3 guys I want to rest. They have 1, right?
Mhm.
But in this case, just because of the momentum swing, I wouldn't have called the timeout. I would have let them just play. But basketball coaches are conditioned to call timeouts if you have them and set up a play like you've practiced all year, right? That's just how it is.
Phil,
But
out of every other first round series right now that's still going on, which is the next one that's most interesting to you?
I always tune in. I only tune into the ones I'm interested. I was very interested in Clippers and Suns until Kawhi went down. That series is over. If he can't play again, either way, it's over. They'll find a way to win, even if
I've been impressed. Norm from Toronto.
Norm's always been good, man.
He's always been good. It's great to see him.
Very athletic. He's one of the most athletic guys in the league, man. Like that guy.
Yeah, he's good. It's great to see. Honestly, it's great to see Russell Westbrook have a bit of redemption there, play super well. So that's nice for him to end his season probably on a high note, right? After a pretty tumultuous year for him. But there's no way, I can't imagine any way that they would pull this off unless Kawhi magically comes back.
How boring is the East, man? How boring is the East? Like seriously, the East for me.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I was asking you. Just kind of like what's most interesting. Like even the Miami
Lakers
series
is the next most interesting. That's it.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. Exactly.
I mean, because it's a moving circus with LeBron, no matter where he is. The East is like, okay, the Nets was a complete joke. All right, see you later. I mean, it's not their fault. They got in that position because KD and Kyrie were there for most of the year.
They should have. That's a playing team.
That's kind of a screw job there, and they never stood a chance. I'll say the Hawks and Celtics. The most exciting part was DeJounte Murray like assaulting a referee,
shoving the ref.
Right, like that's all you saw in the news today. Nobody's talking about the game. Nobody's talking about the series. They're just talking about the assault on the ref and like, oh, it's gonna happen.
Let's pull it up. Cool.
That's all they care about. And what are the other series? Miami, Milwaukee's like, okay, Giannis, what's going on there? So without Giannis.
The other thing I want to say about Miami too is that, like, listen, they went to Game 7 of the Eastern Conference Finals last year against Boston. Like, I think people kind of forget that because they had a terrible year, but it's like most of the team is the same. I think Hero's still out, right? I don't think he's back. But it's like otherwise, it's like this is a team that like clearly just sat around all year. And you like Kyle Lowry, like you completely forgot he existed this year, but then now has been playing well, and Duncan Robinson turning into a star. Someone we've spoken to. But it's something that it's like, you know what? If there's any team that is ready to take advantage of a team like the Bucks that's missing their star, it's the Heat, and that's a slippery team to have to face, too, right? Man. And that's
championship coach.
Yeah, exactly. And if they make it through, who they play? They play the Knicks. I guess
that series sucks, man. That's my lowest rated series. I said it was one of the ones I was the most excited about, and I'm just like, every game is both teams score below 100 points. What's going on here?
Here's the DeJounte.
But look at the way the ref looks at him right after. I love that. Like the ref's like, really? Is that what you want to do? I thought the refs were going to go after him. That would have been pretty fun.
The ref was going to snap. Yeah. If that was Foster, they got to be gone for like 10 games.
The Hawks is like the East is I don't care how strong you think it got strong at the top this year, but at the bottom is still like the bottom. And don't forget the Heat, LG. Actually, the Heat were losing to Chicago in that play-in game with like 2 or 3 minutes left.
Yes,
they were losing, man, and they found a way to pull through in that game. But we wouldn't be talking about the Heat if the Bulls had a clue what they were doing. Right?
It would be insane. That would be the craziest thing if the Heat made it to the conference finals. And I'm not downplaying Knicks or Bucks. Like, they were literally up 2-1. Giannis might play. Anything can happen. But I think that would be freaking hilarious. I think it'd be hilarious if it was a rematch of the Eastern Conference Final from last year.
Oh, man.
It was Celtics and Heat again. I think just the Heat are just like, it's like a bit of a tricky team. And it's always, I think this is the annual point where people are reminded that Jimmy Butler's good. You know what I mean? That
he's very good.
Him out of games. He's super good, but he just doesn't get into that conversation as much during the season. But he's sneaky good, right? And
it's almost underrated
times like this,
right?
Yeah.
It's kind of nobody really talks about Jimmy Butler. The only conversation about Jimmy Butler today was the picture that he has on all his DFS. Like, you saw that? That was in our
with
Discord.
the dreads.
With the dreads. I had seen that. I didn't realize so many people had not seen that. But we were teased before the season with Jimmy Butler having a new look. And he showed it in like these workout videos where he's playing just, one-on-one ball or playing street ball with these crazy dreadlocks. I'm like, yo, this is going to be insane. This will be a whole new level Jimmy Butler coming into this season. And then on opening night, he's got his regular hairstyle. I'm like, dude, why? Look at this.
Yeah, the headline in October was, "Were Jimmy Butler's dreadlocks real? Why a Heat star switched up hairstyle in off season?"
Like Jimmy Butler there that's like prison yard stuff right there. Like that's like Debo in like he's got that look of like, man, I wouldn't want to play against this guy. You know, that's like Uncle Drew type stuff. Like you could show up at playgrounds looking like that with a bit of makeup on. People are like, man, who is this bum, right?
So
because he looks so different. We're used to Jimmy Butler looking so clean cut, right? But he showed up on opening night without it. I was so disappointed, man. I really wanted to see him. I would have loved if he played the entire season like that. That to me, that's super badass.
I wanted to talk about, while we're talking about teams that we care about the most, I do find the Redemptions experiment on Top Shot to be really interesting just for this purpose, right? And I already talked about my bet, and I saw the Warriors moments after winning yesterday, like pop back off, right? And we're talking tiny little bits, like the low of the low the other night after the Warriors were down 2-0 was the Steph Curry Redemptions moment was going for like $8 or something like that, $8 or $9. And now he's back up to 15. So that's pretty decent. Like that to me, again, it's not huge money, but I think it's important for Top Shot to have like swings in price, but that aren't significant. But if you're someone like me, where it's like I bought 4 of those Steph Currys for like $7 or $8, that's cool. I can make $30 if I want. That's nice. That's not, it's small. It's you know, by myself, but it takes somebody out for lunch. But it's not life-changing money. But I think that's actually what's really important about what you can do with blockchain is exactly this, like small swings. Not if it went from $5 to $900, you know, that would be fun, but it would bring in a lot of people just looking to do that. Whereas this is like, no. People like me who were like, yes, I think the Warriors can do well. And I stocked up a few Stephs while they were down 2-0. It's paying off because now even if I don't want to sell them, I don't have to buy them at 15.
No, but right? I think this is good though.
It's actually kind of working. But what I want to point out,
I love what I want
to point out is that Jimmy Butler is still only $3 in redemptions.
Wow.
So
that's crazy.
So probably not on the fact that they might not win this series, but just based on the fact that nobody thinks that the Heat will go deep.
That's
right.
True.
So
you have to think of the rounds after. That's right.
Yeah. So I think that this market is pricing in not necessarily, he's not going to like that. Making it to the second round. I think it's pricing in, it's mainly valuing teams that can go deep. So I think that this shows you that even if the Heat, sure, people might think that they can beat the Bucks with Giannis out, but that nobody cares to own a Jimmy beyond that because they probably maybe wouldn't make it past the second round, but still, like we said, like the second round opponent, if it's the Knicks, like that's a pretty wild card series.
That's a good chance. That's a good chance for the Heat.
Right. I'd say it's a pretty decent. It's a good chance for the Knicks too. I'd say that's a good opportunity for either team. But same thing, Bam, only $3. You know, so
before you publish this episode, before you put this out there, I'm gonna go buy some after. I can. Because usually when you speak on these things and you have these hunches or whatever, it usually pays off. But I just want to say something about the redemptions. Okay.
Yeah.
I have a confession of my own, and it's not priest-worthy confession here. This is a confession to you. Last week, when we brought and for those who don't know what the hell we're talking about NBA Top Shot here. Okay.
Oh yeah, nobody understands how it works, right?
So did you get that survey in your email? I assume not.
From Top Shot or from somebody else?
So there was a survey about redemptions, and it was asking basically why the hell you don't understand them. Okay. So I don't know how I was selected for. I guess the fact that I have a big collection and I own no redemptions, they probably identified that as someone who doesn't know what the hell is going on. So it was like, it took me 10 minutes to fill it out. I filled out saying, yep, I have no clue what the hell's going on. And my confession to you is last week when I asked you on the show, when I told you on the show that I understand them and I told you to kind of put it in a nutshell for our listeners, I was kind of asking that for myself because I had no clue what the hell's going on. I know. But you know what? There's a ton of people who still don't have a clue what is happening. I saw some actually pretty big names in the space today being like, what do I do? Awesemo today was like, what's happening with these things? Like, what?
Yeah.
I think he was one of the ones asking. I'm like, yeah. So people are still confused. It's not just me. But I do like your play. It reminds me of the Cool Cat days where I was like, you know what? I'm at the stage where I love making money on this platform, and I'm going to hit it big by buying 100 of one of the moments I think they're going to select next for a challenge. And I bought 100 Kyle Lowry's at like $2.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I was envisioning them picking Kyle Lowry. I owned 100 of them, and them going from $2 to $200 or $300. I'm like, that's my lottery ticket right there. And it's only cost me about 100 or $200. Worst case scenario, I resell them for the same price I got them. I lose, I lose the fee or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And, because the Will Barton went from $3 to $400 in that challenge. Remember that? Or $375. I'm like, dude.
That Barton moment is probably the most traded moment ever.
Right? If you own 20 of them, that's some big money. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to do this with 2 or 3 players. I'll buy 100 of each for $2. It's going to cost me $200. And again, worst case scenario, I sell every single one of them off. I lose all the fees, which will lose me about $20. But that's a lottery ticket worth playing. But Kyle Lowry was never selected in any of the future challenges. They kind of switched up everything they were doing. And I was like, man, I screwed up. But I'm thinking here, well, like you said, I got one redemption moment, LG, in a free pack recently. Yeah. It was a Sabonis.
Right.
And the Warriors, this was after game 3. And I'm like, the Warriors are at home. They're likely going to win the next game. Let me sell this thing for $7 or whatever it is. I guarantee you, if I really want to get it back, when the Warriors win game 4, I could probably get that Sabonis for $4 or $5 if I really want to. I don't. But I love the game. I love that aspect of playing the prediction game. And like you said, if a team's down 2-0 in a series, like if one of the favorites goes down 2-0 in a series, what a time to buy, right? Because people are probably like, screw this. Like, look at the Heat's your perfect example. Guys like Jimmy and Bam are $3. Like, that's wild. If the Heat go on a crazy run, right?
But you don't know, you still don't know how the market's going to price it. So I think that's what's interesting is that I think the market only is pricing things for teams that they think can win. That's right. Because I think that's what everybody's chasing as the most valuable thing. Because if you own all the redemption moments of the championship team, then you get an extra special moment of a highlight reel, and it's only going to be minted to however many people complete the set, like on time or whatever.
What are the sets at? Do you have any data on what the sets are at in terms of the floors for team sets? Like, what are the Lakers at?
Let's take a look. And actually, just today, they opened up the first redemption period for the first series that's done. So we can actually walk through it right now.
I saw the button at the top of the screen, the big.
Yeah. So they have that on the marketplace, which is really helpful here. I just went and bought a Nets wild card moment to show off. Let's actually go try this. Let's go try this here.
Because the Nets you can redeem. Is that because they're out?
Yes. So you can. So, okay, let's take a look. So in this is actually, again, I think that this is good. Obviously, Top Shot trying to make sure that people understand it, but a little complexity is not the end of the world. I don't know why it stopped moving. Okay, so here's the first round layout, right? And now what you can do with your redemption card, which is basically like a mint pass, it's not a moment itself, is if you have the Embiid card or the Harden card or the Sixers wild card, you can go and redeem that for any of these moments, right? So this is an Embiid rejecting the game-tying shot in game 3. James Harden buries a 3 in game 1, and then they selected Tyrese Maxey as the wild card. He scored 10 straight points in the fourth quarter, game 3. So you can use those. You go redeem it, and then you get that moment. And then the Sixers are going to the second round. They will also have new moments for the second round, win or lose.
Okay.
And to get those moments, you can either use a blank card, like, so you can, the Embiid one, you can not use it on round 1 and save it for round 2 Embiid, or you can use the card to burn for round 1. And then if you want the second round moment, you can burn that first round moment for the second round moment.
Okay.
So the game is that but this window to burn these first round moments, it closes in 3 days. So the question will be, there's 5,000 Embiid moments.
Oh, you can't do it after that. You can't do it after that.
What if at the end of this window, only 500 have been burned for the first round? That means now there's a 500 maximum mint Embiid moment out there of him in the first round. That's
if the Sixers win, the championship,
if they win, that's the bottleneck.
He is needed.
Not.
Wow.
Yes, exactly. Okay. So for the Nets, it sucks because you've got Mikal Bridges, Nick Claxton, and then the wild card is Cameron Johnson, but they're not going to have second round moments. So each of these moments can
pretty highly minted.
It might have heavy mint, but is that true? Are people actually going to redeem them? That's actually my question, is that do people actually care? Each of these is 5,000. How many of those are going to get redeemed? So I went and bought the wild card just now. So here we go. I'm going to pick it.
Does it tell you the mint count when you mint it? You don't know?
I'm going to find out. It doesn't tell me yet.
Give us the data. Like, come on, Top
I'm
Shot.
I'm sure Own the Moment is going to have that data, or somebody's going to have that data pretty soon. How many have been minted?
Let me
or you know what? Honestly,
thing.
I would say Top Shot it would be in Top Shot's best interest to publish that data like every morning. Be like, good morning. There have been 1,000 Embiids redeemed, 1,000 Hardens, 500 Maxis, and so on. Right. So that's how it works. So that's why it's like teams that aren't really realistic championship teams, their prices are going to be low. So that's where like the Heat might win their first round, but not yet. Okay, so Moment reserve. So I don't get the Moment yet. I've burned my redemption card, but I don't get it yet. I get it at the end of the window. So let's refresh. Let's see if it.
Okay, so question for you. So the Sixers, is it the same 3 players round after round?
So it's the 2 players stay the same.
Okay.
So that's
Embiid
and Harden, and the wild card can always be a different person.
Oh, cool. Because I was going to say if Tobias Harris hits a winning shot or something,
Exactly. So I think that's where they learn from past playoff mistakes. It's like, listen, we don't need a new moment of some fucking unknown player every round. That sucks. We want the stars. So what they did is like, well, okay, we might only get one Tyrese Maxey through the playoffs, right? And it'll be his first round, but second round, you're right, might be a Tobias Harris, Shake Milton, whatever. So anyways, let's look at the top of the market. So still LeBron is still at the top of the market, probably on star power alone. Like even if it's only minted to 5,000, I would like, even if Lakers lose the first round, they probably won't at this point. I would say that would still be worth quite a bit. But the second is Tatum, Durant, Embiid, Jokic, and Giannis, Booker, Jaylen Brown. So those that kind of indicates who the market thinks has the best chance to go pretty deep. Giannis probably on star power.
Where's AD in here? Is AD not up there?
Let's find him.
So
he's all the way down at $7. He's all the way down at $7. So that's actually a good point, Phil. If you think the Lakers have a good chance of winning it all, it might not be a bad opportunity right now. Or when they lose, like if they lose tonight, or if they're down in the next series or something like that, and these moments go down even less, like that's a good time to scoop them up if you think the Lakers can realistically win the title. Right.
Oh man, I'm telling you, I don't know. I was laughing a few weeks ago before playoffs when people were saying Lakers, but the more I watch and the way LeBron, like, listen, I'm a big Dillon Brooks fan. I love the bad guy role. Okay. And he's done it to the point where people are like furious and, he's still playing mind
inserting himself into the conversation.
But I didn't like the way he his lack of response to LeBron kind of like destroying him before game 3 on the court when he came up to him and told me he was a nobody and shit like that. It's like, if you're going to talk like that, then why didn't you get right in his face before the game? Like in hockey, if you do that, it doesn't matter who you are. If before the game starts in warm-up, someone comes up to you like that on your side of center and gets in your face, there's probably going to be an all-out brawl. And I am shocked that Dillon Brooks didn't take that bait, because it's not really bait. LeBron would be the one kind of, not in the wrong, but LeBron would have more to lose than Dillon Brooks does in getting in a pregame altercation. But Brooks kind of stood there and was like, all right. Like as if he respected him so much that he's like, man, I really respect you. What I'm doing is all just for show and part of the series, which I know for a fact that it is part of it, obviously. Rodman used to do it, right? Yeah. Rodman was a tremendous NBA player, but all the side antics got him so much attention that people noticed he was a tremendous NBA player, right? It's the same with Draymond. Like if you watch Draymond in that game last night, there is a 0% chance that Golden State wins that game last night without Draymond Green. Like he is fantastic. He is such a good player. And I think he's so effective. Everybody hates him. I hate him, but he's so effective. And Dillon Brooks is kind of trying to be like that. But if you're going to be like that, you have to be like that at all times, not just when the game is on. Because look at Draymond. When he got tossed the other night, did you see him? He was waving at the fans. He was climbing chairs, like, doing the Hulk Hogan, like, stuff like he was doing all sorts of crazy stuff because that's who he is on and off the court. I don't think Dillon Brooks is like that. I think Dillon Brooks, it kind of showed that it's just a kind of his character on the court And I just wish that he had pushed back against LeBron a little bit more in that moment when LeBron was like,
he's got to be. Yeah, I agree with you that if he wants to be that villain role, and if the Grizzlies see themselves as a contender for the years to come, and he wants to be, I mean, I don't know. I guess if the duo, I guess who's the dynamic duo of the Grizzlies? Ja and Jaren. And
I guess, yeah,
I guess, right. But who knows? They could still have, Bane, right? So they could still have a player emerge as the clear number two. And then if you're following the Golden State thing or the Jordan, mold, then it's like, then there's a third guy who's the legendary defender, agitator dude, right? And I think if Brooks wants to be that, I agree with you. He needs to be almost kind of crazier. Like he needs to be nuttier in who he actually is. He needs to be like less predictable rather than so very clearly just trying to play this role. Where then it's there's so many instances where you're like, well, you're just posing. Like you're not actually like
but that's
Rodman.
What I'm saying, right?
Rodman, everybody's like, that guy's insane. Like he's actually crazy. And Draymond too. Right? Draymond, and you're like, well, he's just a big asshole, and that's just who he is. And he does his own podcast where he calls people out and stuff like that. It's like he's very deep into it. But early in the Golden State days, maybe Draymond wasn't as deep the same way. So maybe it's just something Brooks has to kind of
he was close though.
Develop into.
Yeah. But Brooks is like, again, you got suspended. Don't go cry to the media that it's their fault or anybody else's fault.
No,
like Draymond gets suspended every other game for the amount of technicals he has.
Yeah,
and he'll just be like F the league or some stupid that's just him, right? Like he stays in character because it's not really a character with him. This is just how he is, right? But it is entertaining. Like that stomp on Sabonis there was like. That was the equivalent of stomping on a cockroach, man. Like I couldn't stop laughing. I'm like, okay, first of all, Sabonis is not really. Come on, dude. Like seriously, you're not dying, man. Like,
well, that's what makes the playoffs so fun, man.
It is.
There's always some like weird, dirty thing where everybody has an opinion on it.
Oh,
it's just like
still is, right? I mean,
yeah.
And he went for X-rays, and that's my favorite part. Came back from X-rays. The X-rays were negative. He is probable for the next game. Okay. That was my favorite part. But then on the court was like as if he had just died, man. Like honestly, you messaged me that right away. You're like, the guy's rolling around like he's been shot, right?
Oh yeah.
And Draymond was a blatant, like I'm telling you, stepped on him like a cockroach, like bang. Like, too bad. Don't do that.
He didn't step on him. He used him like a trampoline. Like he pushed off his jet. I thought that was freaking hilarious. Yeah. And also I was like, there's no way, like, sure, that might wind you a little bit, right? Like if it hits the wrong spot, and Draymond's a big guy, right? It's not, even if you are a big guy, it's still not easy to have a big guy step on you. But I thought it was pretty funny. This is also why I love the playoffs, though, is this kind of everybody's trying to make it. Everyone's trying to be the personality. They know that kind of stuff works in the NBA. I think if Brooks really wants to achieve like the bad guy status, he needs to get to the point where it's like, it's less about media and saying things. It's more about making other teams really freaking hate playing you. And I think that that's where it's like the agitator person really backs up their talk with play. And I think that that's what Draymond does so well, is that he's such a hateable guy. You're fans of the other teams. You freaking hate him. The other players like probably hate playing against him, both because he might just step on you or do something or hit you in the nuts, but also is an incredible defender. Right. And I think that it's like, I think if Brooks wants to become that, he needs to mold that properly. Like he needs to be really fearsome on the court and also occasionally do unpredictable stuff. So I'd say like, if anything, I would say that that's what he did that fits that mold, is less so the talk of LeBron and LeBron's a nobody or whatever, and more so the like hitting LeBron in the nuts. Like I'm like, yeah, okay, that's like he didn't mean it, right? But like Draymond has done that many times, and he might do it to you someday. Yeah. And I think that that's, I don't agree with that, but I think that that's what the role is that like at any given moment, this guy might hurt you and you hate playing against him because of that. And I'd say Rodman was the same. Like it's just like he might freaking crush you. It's like you might get an elbow right in the freaking chest or in the nose at any given moment with him. And I think that's. What did you think of the? Speaking of Brooks and LeBron, what did you think of the Lakers PA billboard? Did you see that, comparing LeBron's career to Dillon Brooks' career? Did you see this?
I saw that. Yes.
So here we go. This is what it was.
I mean.
This is comparing. They put this up on the board at Staples Center.
I saw that.
Career points: LeBron 38,652, Dillon Brooks 5,000. NBA MVPs 4-0. Championships 4-0. Finals MVP 4-0. All-Star selections 19-0. All NBA 18-0.
You can bet your bottom dollar that the person behind that was LeBron James. Okay? 100%. I know LeBron.
Yeah, for sure.
He did not like those comments that
Yeah.
Dillon Brooks made after, like, that you're a nobody. To LeBron,
Mhm.
as good as a person he is, he's actually a really good person off the court. As good of a player as he is, whether he's the best ever or not, that's not for us to even discuss or begin discussing. But LeBron, make no mistake about it, wants his name to be in the top 3 stories of every single Sports Center for the entire year. Okay. He will, like, I remember we talked about this last time. Everything from saying he wants to win a Stanley Cup to he could have been a wide receiver with the Ohio State Buckeyes, all that stuff. When the attention's not on him, he finds a way to put it on him. And
that's how you remain a star in the modern era, right? Like the Jordans and the Kobe's, there wasn't really as much. Yeah, exactly. There wasn't as much like social media and stuff, right? But it's like that's how you compete for attention and you solidify your status is by remaining constantly as the story, right?
Exactly
and that's actually a really good point.
And the second that was questioned by Dillon Brooks of all people in terms of, like, you know, when you question LeBron is when it really hurts him, especially like saying, put 40 on me and I'll respect you. Okay. That for LeBron was just like, is he really saying this about me? All right. So I've got to get back to him. 100% called up, you know, Genie Bus. I don't know who he called it. He called someone up. You guys have to come up with the biggest, like, diss and put
this is LeBron's equivalent of I took that personally, right? Like, I would watch Last Dance and Jordan would, like, somebody said something to him at some point, and like 5 years later he's like, I took that personally and I dropped 60 point on his ass. You know, it's just LeBron, like that's like the legendary Jordan, like, he's so petty revenge guy. And then you know, and that's Jordan's things. Kobe's thing is that he's the hardest worker, right? That was always the story. He's the hardest working guy. He's in the gym at 4 a.m. hours before everybody else. Last guy shooting shots in the court. He's always going to outwork you no matter what. But LeBron's thing is like it's like the took it personally is like he's not going to come out and he can't necessarily go out and beat you every time, or that's not how basketball doesn't really work the same way. And he's not going to retaliate in the media because he's above that, but he's going to find some other way for people to talk about him, like, you know, that makes it that he's going to have other people talk about how he's great instead of himself showing it. I think that's the star genius of LeBron.
As soon as he got home that night after those, he drew that up on his computer. He put those stats together and he sent it to the Lakers saying, you guys are putting this on the board. Nobody else did that.
I love the idea of LeBron just drives home from the game and, you know, Bronny's there and, you know, whatever, the whole family's there. And they're like, Dad, great game. Like, we're going to get some sleep. And he's like, great. You know, and he's in his, you know, 8th ice bath of the day because LeBron needs like 16 treatments every day for his body. And he's sitting there and he rolls out his big iPad and he's like, and he looks up his own Wikipedia page and he's like, okay, let me make this graphic.
100%.
It sends it to Genie Bus and be like, can you get this on the thing tomorrow? And that's for sure.
That's him. I know it's him. That's the petty kind of stuff that not only an intern would do, but that LeBron would do. Because you can't even compare the two. There's no point of comparing the two because they're not. I mean, I wouldn't even acknowledge that if I was him because they're not on the same planet. You can't compare the two. Dillon Brooks is what, 24 years old? I don't know what he is. I don't know. He can't be more than 25 years old, and he's not really relevant, right? So, you know, but LeBron doesn't matter who you are, man. He'll be freaking pissed, man.
Or you know who else might be manipulating that kind of stuff? Might be like Maverick Carter. Like that's what LeBron has. Is that has all these like secret friends. Well, he's not very secret, but you know, this entourage of people that like are always out there trying to help everybody get convinced that LeBron's the greatest. Like that's the secret. That's the magic of LeBron is that he's got such a great team, the best team of any generational star probably so far, right? People are always going to advocate for him.
Did you see that video of, I don't know if it's real, but is that video of that little kid talking to Steph Curry when he was like 9 years old on the court shooting baskets for the Raptors? Is that video of a kid talking to him real? Did you see that thing? It was going everywhere today. And they said the kid turned out to be Austin Reeves. Some little kid younger than Steph is like lecturing him on how he can be really good and play in the NBA.
Austin Reeves, that doesn't make any sense. Oh, you mean wait. When Austin Reeves was a kid, how old was Steph?
Older, but Austin Reeves was really small. It looks like he's 5 or 6 in the video, and he's telling Steph, if you really, really try hard, you'll make it in the NBA or something like that. I don't think it's real, man. I saw it and I'm like, no, we would have heard about this a long time ago.
It's like,
what would be the odds?
It's making the rounds on TikTok. Okay, so
it's got to be fake.
Let's pull up our TikTok here.
It's got to be some AI bullshit.
Maybe. Hold on. Let's see. Okay. Actually, hold on. We're gonna need the sound for this.
By the way, there's more Drake bangers out there, man. There's so many good ones.
Oh, yeah, they shut it down and they just opened. I knew if they shut that down, it's like you're just gonna open up a Pandora's box by giving it so much. Okay, let's watch the Steph Curry video. No, hold on.
Whoa.
Is that Austin Reeves from the Lakers, bro?
He'll practice hard.
What is this, man?
He'll be what?
In 10 years.
Dude, there's no way. There's no way that's Austin Reeves.
He's gonna be no champion without Kevin.
They're too close. These two kids are way too close in age. Like Steph Curry is like 10, and this kid is like 7. Austin Reeves is what, like 21? Steph's like 35.
Is he really? I don't know.
Yes,
yeah, you're right.
Austin Reeves is a rookie, isn't he?
Austin Reeves was in the NFTU recur drop, playing for the University.
He's 24, and Steph. I think Steph like just turned 35 or something like that. Yeah,
you're right.
Those two kids in that video are not 11.
Okay, I'm sick
apart.
of this, man. I
can't
tell what's real, what's not. I didn't think it was real because at one point when Reeves is talking to him, Steph and his dad are not even looking anymore. I'm like, okay, that doesn't make sense either, right? Mm-hmm. So. But man, this is getting dangerous. I can't keep up with this stuff, right? So
that's not even real, AI. Man. That's just like somebody's weird suggestion of that.
Freaking TikTok, man. Do you have TikTok, LG? I don't.
I actually,
believe it or not.
So I actually just got TikTok like 2 weeks ago. And I really enjoy it. I'm a big Instagram person. Phil will tell you that if anybody sends you random memes at all times of the day on Instagram, it's me. I'm the meme master. But I actually find that TikTok, the way TikTok serves the content is really good. I'm one of those people that like for a long time, I was like, TikTok is a place where teenage girls coordinate doing dances. You know, and I was just like, that's the main thing.
That's all I know it
for. You know, I was like, that's what it is. So I don't know why I would go on TikTok. Seems kind of creepy. But then I was looking up content and it was on TikTok. And then there's, you know, I've had this Thanos Lego gauntlet behind me that I haven't made yet. So I started looking up, like, is there any good, like, nerd collectible content on there? And I've been down a rabbit hole. I find that what TikTok does really well, which is obviously really creepy, not in that way, is that when you search something on TikTok, the way it serves you back content about what you looked up is phenomenal, way beyond Instagram or any other social network. It's like, so if you look up, like, I started golfing last year and, you know, I finally got back to the driving range this weekend. And I looked up golfing stuff, and the way it serves me now,
now you're
really,
screwed,
really, but like really helpful golf content. It's not sponsored, like go buy some Callaways or anything like that, like Facebook would be or Instagram. It's like, no, it's popular golfing accounts.
But what if you don't want that though? What if you don't want, like, what if you like,
but when it reads the way that you swipe things, so, and the way you consume things, which is what other social networks do. So the more it knows that I'm watching these videos, like the more I stay on them, the more it'll serve them to me. But if it gives me a golfing video and I swipe away from it, then it'll immediately know to give me less golfing content. I'm saying is that the algorithm is really well structured compared to other networks.
I'm around people on TikTok like 24/7, and I don't remember who it was, but someone kept getting videos of the amount of, like, and this is a subject we're not going to get into, but the amount of men that are now just out of nowhere women. Okay. Anyways, there's one specifically here in Toronto, or in the Toronto area, that is a school teacher, that is a man that is dressing up as a woman just for school with the most gigantic boobs you'll ever see in your entire life. Okay? It's caused the biggest chaos on this entire planet. But if you watch one story about that, all you get is stories about that forever. Because I'm like, why are you guys continuously watching about this dude? Stop watching his videos. They're like, we can't. It's not us. It keeps showing up on our feed now because we watched 1 or 2 videos, right? By the way, you know, LG, that guy only does that for school, right? I don't know if you saw the latest.
Yeah, I know.
All of his outside of school, he's a regular dude.
I need to know more about that situation before I am comfortable talking.
That's the kind of chaos I would have been there for high school.
Yeah, you would have loved that. You would have loved your shop teacher to be something incredibly controversial like that. So
absolutely,
we're not. That's beyond the realm of the First Mint. That can be another Phil D After Dark conversation.
Does the First Mint have a TikTok account? That's the real question.
I secured it. Ooh, like when I started the First Mint, I went and got the domain for like everything. So I got like, so I have like the Reddit and I have the TikTok and all the stuff that we don't use, but it does have an account. and it has like one video that's just the logo. But I've never used it. I don't know what kind of content we would put on there. I don't know if I'm the kind of person. I don't know if I want to start making content of like me talking with like a green screen commenting on stuff. Like there's nothing I feel like passionately enough about to really do that. But I might start posting some personal stuff. Like I posted one video the other day that's me opening a hero pack, like from our partners, our old partners at the DC, like Batman and Superman cards and stuff like that. So it was me opening that, and like it's just something that I'm doing that I thought would be fun to record. So, you know, not putting too much thought into it. But yeah, TikTok, very interesting. I think I will say, from using it a little bit, it definitely works well, and it's definitely something I will use more. I've been watching a lot of sports highlights. So actually, something from the weekend. Let's talk NHL. Something from the weekend that I saw the replay on TikTok, and it convinced me, was the high stick Kings and Oilers overtime.
Here we go.
And I was watching that live, and when they were reviewing it in Toronto, I was like, for sure, Toronto, the league, they just want to extend this series. They want the Oilers to win so that, you know, the star Connor McDavid can go deeper, and that's why they're trying to find something wrong with this play. And then they didn't. I thought that was very strange. If anybody who caught Oilers Kings
Game 3,
I was going to say episode 3, game 3, that went to overtime, and had a pretty contentious ending, where basically moments before the Kings scored the game-winning goal in overtime, one of them had a high stick on the puck. Like he pretty much touched it like 5 feet above his head. They did a 10-minute video review to try and determine whether he did or not. They said that he didn't. But clear video review that I saw on TikTok showed that he did. So pretty controversial. Oilers made up for it last night with their own overtime win. Ex-Maple Leaf Zach Hyman scoring the goal there. But so yeah, that was my.
Let me just say something about that high stick. Yeah. Okay, I agree with you. When looking at it the very first time, I said, yeah. Oh, he touched it. Okay, and the fact that Connor McDavid, one of the best players in the entire world, probably the best player, put his arm up. He obviously saw it. He was right there. But I actually ran an experiment at the baptisms lunch after the baptism with 10 random people, whether they watch hockey or not. Some of them do, some of them don't. I found 4 or 5 different angles of that play, which is, I assume, is what they also had in the review booth. And I showed them. And in my mind, I'm like, if one person here has doubt that puck was touched, they can't change what was called on the ice. They just can't. Because one person says yes, if the other says I'm not really sure, it's like a jury, right? Everyone has to be on the same page. So you had 3 people out of the 10 say, you guys are fucking crazy. That puck never touched the stick. And then you'd be like, look, the puck just stops rotating. They're like, nope, that's not what's happening. They really didn't see it at all. Like not even a little bit. So I think that's where, again, the call on the field and on the ice and on the court is king. Because if they're going by that system where people disagree and you can't, it's like when I went to court and I just made up these crazy stories trying to get out of a ticket once. The judge was like, all right, I believe you and the cop. I don't really know what the hell really happened because you're both very convincing. I was bullshitting. And she's like, because I believe both of you, the case goes to the defendant. That's just how it is. Because if there's any doubt in the judge's mind, it always goes to the defendant whatsoever in these smaller court cases, right? So I think it touched 100,000% it touched. But
I gotta stop you there. Hold on. We might have an audio problem. Phil D, we're back from our audio potential mishap, which turned out to not be a mishap. It would have sucked if the whole podcast up until that point had an audio problem. But
I would have snapped.
We're good now. It was an AirPod problem on my end. But Phil, I mainly brought up, listen, NHL, maybe not on as many people's radar. I would say that Oilers and Kings series, probably the one that's getting the most attention, at least from my kind of a standpoint, is obviously McDavid's in it. Kings, American team that has won a lot lately and is in a big market. Have you seen Will Ferrell at the games?
I did.
Yes.
I wasn't sure if he was filming like a new movie or what he was doing.
He could be. Yeah.
No, that's just him. This is how he goes to all the LA sports. He's always dressed up. He had he looked like he was at medieval times, man. Yeah, look at this.
Here are the photos. This is Will Ferrell. A different Kings game. So this is last night. Pretty much, medieval times or like Braveheart or something like that.
We need Will Ferrell.
This is from game 3. Like
that
a
is horrendous. Flag. I don't know who did his makeup, but I guess it was intentionally done. I would love to see Will Ferrell sitting beside Dart Guy. Remember that guy, Dart Guy in Toronto? The guy who had a cigarette in his mouth before the game ended?
Capital Series. The Capital Series 2017.
But
There
I
you
mean,
go.
just
This
to
is dark
finish
guy.
up
This is the ultimate. This is if you want to know how Toronto Maple Leafs fans like had pretty much represented in one photo. This is it. This is Dart Guy from the capital.
No, don't associate us with this guy, man. Please. He has his own radio show and his own podcast and all that crap. I have no idea who gave this guy that much attention, but this guy's an absolute freak, man. He had only because he has a cigarette in his mouth for the last like 2 minutes of that game. He just wanted to get the hell out of there. And became Dartman. And then like I think they dug up like his criminal past. Always something like that.
All I'm gonna say, Phil, is that Dart Guy fits the ethos of Toronto sports. We talked about this
really
like last week or the week before about like strange things only seem to happen a lot in Toronto. And Dart Guy is he's right in there in the disgraceful, strange Toronto fans. He's right in there in the
how did we forget about him
Hall
last
of Fame.
week? You're right, man. To kind of flip the NFTs a bit, what about NHL Breakaway? Did you see it? For those who don't know, NHL Breakaway I think it was announced last week, about a week ago now, where they started their own Twitter. The Discord was kind of started up. It is sort of like the NBA Top Shot of the NHL, which we've been waiting for such a long time from Sweet, who've teased it. But now they've revealed their name as NHL Breakaway. And if you read their blogs, it's not clear when moments are going to start. But today on Twitter, and this is apart from having that survey or that kind of interview type document that they put out for you to have access to their early beta platform, which I filled out. I'm like, okay, I love hockey. Like, what else do you want me to say?
Beta access.
Yeah.
You can apply for beta access, which I
feel
feel like
an
everybody who
interview.
applies is going to get it. That's
what I'm saying, though. So I'm like, I'm not going to write a whole novel. I guarantee some people gave like their whole life story. I played left
there's
wing.
questions in there like, do you like NFTs?
7 years old. Like,
How much do you like hockey? Yeah.
No, we're not doing that. But everyone's getting in. But today they tweeted a poll and actually clipped moments of what the best play of the first week of NHL playoffs was. Like, they actually put clips, which leads me to believe that they have access to clips that they might be able to use to mint into moments, right? Like, maybe we're close. From everything I've read, there will be nothing till the end of like May, is what I'm understanding. But maybe they're just trying to get an idea of which one of these 4 moments they want to kind of mint, and then maybe have packs at the end of the playoffs. I don't know, man.
This poll's rough, man. 26 votes.
I know. It's the NHL. Nobody's going to care about the NHL. It'll be even less than man.
You know, they've actually done something kind of confusing where they have Sweet, which is the company doing this, like the Dapper Labs equivalent. And then they had NHL X Sweet as the account. And then they have a new account called NHL Breakaway. And then they have NHL Breakaway Assist, which is like the support thing. So a little bit of social media growth, I'd say, to be done on the Sweet side to get a little bit beyond. You know what? Let's give them some love. Let's give them a little retweet. I think most people probably looking at this don't know what most of these moments are. Campbell Game 4 save.
Oh, that's not it though. Hold on. No, the one I voted on was the Eastern Conference.
Oh, it was an Eastern Conference one.
I didn't even see the Western Conference.
Oh, it has 3,000 votes. Oh, how does hold on, explain this to me. How does the poll we just looked at have 26 votes and the one posted an hour before it has 3,000 votes?
Because it must have been retweeted or something. Actually, there's only 3 retweets.
No, that's
the NHL.
No, the NHL retweeted
that's
it. The NHL retweeted it. Yeah,
that's why I was gonna say someone had to retweet that. It's just like the La Liga Golazos drop earlier. The Robert Lewandowski, one of the most famous soccer reporters in the world, retweeted it that those packs were dropping. And I'm like, okay, that's pretty cool, actually. I don't know if he was paid to do it the way like Rappaport was paid with the NFL, but still pretty cool. But yeah, the Ryan O'Reilly is there. I'm like, yeah, that's cool, man. Like, don't tease me with that. I want that now.
What's really funny and probably really ironic and something that anti-NFT people are going to use is that this is an account called NHL Breakaway. They're going to release the Top Shot equivalent of the NHL, and they're asking people. The no NFTs out yet. They're asking people, hey, which is your favorite goal so far of the first 3-4 games of each series? And then they link to them on YouTube.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yes. So I think that's hilarious. Like but it's like they don't. And it links to the NHL account or like Sportsnet, but it's like you're the NHL. You could take the clip and put it as a tweet, but it's like no, you're literally pointing to YouTube, which is hilarious because that's the big knock against NFTs is that they're just YouTube videos. You can watch them anytime. So I think that's kind of hilarious, in my opinion. They just go straight. They're like go to YouTube to watch it. Why would you ever buy the NFT. You just watch it on YouTube, no problem.
They literally just, exactly. People are going to be like, well, I told you so. So by the way, on the right there, you see Udoka in the trends on Twitter. That is because Ime Udoka is the new head coach of the Houston Rockets. I just saw that on the ticker.
Really?
So you thought for sure with the Raptors being mentioned as a front runner for him with the Masai connection, which I don't really know if there is one, to be honest.
And that Nick Nurse was going to go to Houston. That was the main
thing. Yeah, whatever that was. But no, I guess not. He took the deal, done deal. Probably wanted too much money. The Raptors are notorious for hiring cheap coaches, just like the Blue Jays and pretty much every Toronto team. They just hire kind of new project guys all the time. You know, Lenny Wilkins, people went nuts when he was hired by the Raptors, but he's the winningest coach of all time is how they promoted him. And they left out the part of the losingest coach of all time. Yeah. He's just been around forever. So it was like, and also DeJounte Murray suspended 1 game. He will miss game 5. The Atlanta Hawks can pack their bags. It's time to go home. See you later. So,
let's talk. Hold on. Let's go back to
that's just some breaking news. I had to cut in with some.
Thank you for the breaking news. Phil's got something to say. So yeah, NHL stuff. And again, I know it's not highly on a lot of people's radar, but I do feel like NHL occupies a special place for some people out there, like that their team, their town, or whatever has had some kind of prominent run. I feel like a decent amount of people tune in at the start of the season, and then maybe for the Stanley Cup Finals. Still, you know, a decent amount of people in the U.S. because there's been a few American team dynasties in the last decade, like the Blackhawks and the Kings, and maybe the Avalanche, right? And a lot of good American players the past like decade or two, like Patrick Kane, right? So it's something I think is on a lot of people's radar. It's just not their number one, but it's definitely maybe their number 3 or 4 behind it. So I think people will watch this when it's on. I think it's a good thing to have on simultaneously with the NBA playoffs. Like even last night was really funny because the Oilers and Kings regulation finished, and we were chatting then, and it was right when the overtime was starting for the Wolves, and it was fun to have them on simultaneously. Man. It's like it's a lot of action.
You threw me off with that because you're like, dude, are you watching the Nuggets and Wolves? I'm like, for what, man? It was like they're getting smoked, right? And he's like, no, check it out. I'm like, oh shit, what?
That was so insane how that happened.
2 minutes ago, man. They were down by like 14 or something.
That was the craziest collapse where they didn't lose that I've seen in a long time. I've got a bit more context on the NHL stuff though, and I've been in touch with them. I try and touch base with all the sports projects to say what's up and to get any information that I can that isn't publicly available. We don't know much yet. What they have said, and we recap this on Twitter, but for people who haven't followed, basically NHL Breakaway is Top Shot style, easiest way to kind of describe it. Collectibles, video highlights. It also says there's going to be jerseys and maybe, I don't know if it said autographs, but other memorabilia style stuff.
That's cool.
It will be past and present hockey plays. So sure, there might be stuff from this year, but there may be Wayne Gretzky, Brett Hull, whatever from the past as well. So that's cool. That's a good start. Very little other information is available. We've heard that the pack opening experience should be cool. Even on the site, it has like a, kind of big ice block NHL logo. So that seems like they've got a good graphics department. If you kind of follow the breadcrumbs for this story, you may recall a time last October, Phil, when the NHL was hiring for Web3 roles, right? And we posted about it. A few people were talking about it. They were hiring 5 or 6 different roles. That was like Web3 lead, content Web3 lead, a few different legal roles, right? Obviously very important for launching NFTs. I kind of went down that rabbit hole last week to just be like, okay, who did the NHL hire, and who does Sweet have on board to run this thing? Because Sweet, which is again like the Dapper Labs equivalent running this whole thing, has been around since 2016. So they've been around since before NFTs. They seem to be like some kind of experiential brand agency. And they have done different brand NFTs since the boom. They did the Macy's Day Parade NFTs back in 2021. They've done like Milwaukee Bucks NFTs. They've got a few other TV ones. So they're not new to making NFTs. Sweet last spring, like from like April to June, hired at least 5 or 6 different people to work on this project. They hired like an entire account team. They literally have one guy on LinkedIn who's listed as like Sweet NHL partner relations or something like that. So that guy's job is literally to manage this account. But what's funny is that it didn't seem like the NHL necessarily had a person in place to run this. So Sweet has their team. The NHL posted their roles. From what I can tell, they've hired 2 people at the NHL to work on this stuff. one of them to be literally a content editor and the other one to be running the project. So that's basically what I've been able to understand. And in terms of the opportunity, Phil, like I don't want to say that I'm excited. I'm very eager. I want to say it that way. I'm keen to see a lot of different things. One, NHL NFTs would be super fun. Don't get me wrong. But two, I'm excited. I'm keen to see how they roll this out because they have a clean slate. Nothing has been done. They have 2 or 3 years of watching every other sports franchise try so many different things. Right. And a lot of those sports are circling back on things. Right. So you've got, we can be done in fantasy. You can see the top shots and the candies for collectibles. You have all this testing that's been done way ahead of your product. So to me, like I've been thinking, I'm like, well, what would be the best thing that they could roll out with knowing nothing else? We're going to find out more next Sunday, April 30th is when they said there's another update. Phil, what would you want to see? Like what kind of like rollout program would you want them to do?
I don't know, man. I don't know what the winning formula is anymore, but I do love, some sort of fan interaction of some kind. And just the idea now of redemptions for me is so interesting in some kind of way. But I think the NHL has to have some sort of gamification, for people to tune into NHL games. Most people don't watch NHL games. I, for one, being the biggest hockey person out there, I don't watch NHL games that are not the Toronto Maple Leafs. How crazy is that? As opposed to other sports, I'm a big Raptors fan, but I can watch any NBA game and I'll enjoy
I agree.
it.
Yeah.
In the NHL, unless it's a playoffs, I can watch any playoff game with the exception of a couple of series that are snorefest. But in the NHL, like what the hell am I doing yesterday at almost 1 o'clock in the morning watching Edmonton and the Los Angeles Kings in overtime? I have no horse in the race whatsoever. I don't care. But I'm intrigued because it's the intensity of the playoffs is crazy, right? But the NHL, I don't care about anything but the Toronto Maple Leafs. I'll never watch another game in the regular season that is not the Maple Leafs. I have zero interest, no matter how much I love hockey. I have enough hockey in my life that I don't need that. So I can only think how a casual fan feels. They probably don't even want to watch half their team's games. Do you know what I'm saying? So you really have to do something to kind of draw them in. But I'm at a loss for words when it comes to what these platforms should be doing. I think you just need to somehow involve the fans to have them watching. Like kind of UFC strike kind of had us watching more UFC than we usually do at one point there. But I don't really know if they intentionally done it or we were just excited for the platform. Do you know what I mean? But there has to be a reason. I would love for some. Listen, you can watch hockey games anywhere now. I would love for some in-game kind of things, just for watching the game, being able to redeem something.
Something that's part of like the experience in some way.
You remember those puck fragments where you bought all of them? Whatever.
Yes, on Bleacher Report. That was the closest thing we had. Yeah. Something
like if you collect every game, watching these games on TV, or anytime there's a backhand goal, a code will come up on the screen. You'll be able to get a piece to the final puzzle, and you need all 15 pieces. You'll be watching games. You'll be kind of more into it. You just have to make it fun for people. But I'm speaking for myself, though, so I don't really know if this is what will get people into it, right? So
I usually find whatever would get you interested or me interested. Like, we're pretty normal people, so I think usually whatever get us into it is something else. I think at this point it's like you have to temper our expectations. It's like I don't think this NHL project is about to be at the top of the rankings, right? I don't think they're about to be above Top Shots volume, but I don't think that that's necessarily a failure, right? It's like I think at this point the opportunity is to make something really good for fans. And that doesn't necessarily mean something that's making $1 million a week in volume. One format, Phil, that I think could be really interesting for them, that I think a lot Top Shot has tried, Candy has tried, but it's just not. It just wasn't how the project was originally rolled out. Is the Zeusables format, which was a mobile app where it's $5 packs, and it's very cheap, and you can pay with Apple, and you're just cranking through them. And I bought. Like 20 packs immediately for Zeusables. And I do not care about Dr. Zeus.
But this is how collectibles were, LG. When you used to go to that store, the Toronto Star or any of the stores.
Yes.
The most, like if a pack was $4.99, you'd be like, oh no, those are the expensive ones. I'm not buying that shit.
Yes.
Give me that pack for like $2.99 or $3.99 and I'll buy a bunch of those, right?
Yes.
I agree with you. You have to go back to kind of that. Like today I sent you that link for that La Liga Golazos free fandom pack.
Yeah, the free one. Yeah.
And it ended up taking us to the wrong page because for whatever reason, that link wasn't working at first. But you were just like, man, what is the fucking problem here? Because the first thing you saw when you went on that page is what? This is your first time, not your first time.
It wasn't. That's not what I had.
Times, right?
My problem wasn't with the free pack, which we're going to put in the newsletter as well. No. You get a free Golazos pack. Free packs, great way to get people into it. If anything, that's what I say the NHL should do, is they should have some kind of free thing right off the bat, like a free pack for the first freaking 10,000 people. You go sign up, give your information, you get a free pack, and let people wonder if it's going to be the cosmics of the NHL project. Who freaking cares?
But limit the free packs.
Make sure it's loaded with players that people can fucking know. Don't give me any of these fucking the third line defensemen on the St. Louis Blues or some bullshit. Nobody cares. That. It has to be actual players. I don't care what the NHLPA says. We don't want half of the players in the league in the NHL. We do not want them in this project. Give us the stars, past and present. No past garbage players. Give us good players from the past. No, what pissed me off about the La Liga thing, and I don't know if the NHL will do this, and if they do, I hope they do it tastefully. But it's something where it's like not a lot of people are going to bust out a couple $100 for a pack right now.
No, I wouldn't do it.
And La Liga, part of this drop, claim your free pack is they also want you to go buy the collection, and they're selling like 700 packs for $200 each. And to me, it's like there's some mold out there of selling packs for a couple $100 that to me at this point in the market is fucking crazy.
What are you doing?
Yeah. It just makes it look like none of these projects scream that level of premium, but somehow they're trying to do that. And maybe something like DraftKings is okay because those have utility. You're paying DraftKings selling packs for $2,000 a pop, but you're getting legendaries that help you win contests where you can win $10,000. So that to me is like, well, that's worth it because you have real DFS players there that have that kind of bankroll. But for collectibles, now, don't like $200 for a guarantee. Like I would rather spend $200. I'd rather spend $5 40 times where each of the packs has like a 0.01% chance of a legendary, then spend $200 one time on a pack that has a guaranteed legendary of probably some player I don't give a shit about. I would much rather that. And I think all these collectible projects need to think that way rather than selling freaking packs for $500. So if this NHL thing opens up and they're like, get the legendary pack for $4.99, no fucking way. I'm not paying that. I hope nobody pays that. But, I'd giving them the benefit of the doubt. So I'm not judging them on that. But for the Golazos thing, to me, it was like, this doesn't make me want to.
The concept is really, really good. Okay. Robert Lewandowski is one of the better strikers in the world over the last 10 years. Okay. He's going through a rough stretch right now. But
for Golazos, you're talking. You're talking about Golazos. For anybody who doesn't.
He is the leading scorer in La Liga right now. Okay. And he came over from Bayern Munich where he was a star there. Anyways, they've got this whole thing where someone's going to meet a meet and greet and others are going to win his signed jerseys and others are going to, there's a ton of prizes just for minting this free pack, not just spending money, but for minting the free pack, you actually have a chance to win some of these prizes. I think that's really, really cool. So 3 people that mint free packs are going to win as well. Okay. That's a great start. They're not just giving you one fandom moment. They're giving you 9. Great start. Now you say, okay, so most people are just going to mint that and not do anything else. If you want to do the current challenge for Robert Lewandowski, you actually have to buy the next level of packs, which is $19.99. To complete the easy challenge, all the fandom moments are in there. You have to buy the $19.99 pack, and then you'll complete it because you automatically get 2 of those players that are needed for the challenge. That's fine. Some people will do that. But when you, like you said, those $1.99 packs is like, what are you doing? Why is this still a thing? And they're not selling. I mean, I don't know. It feels like this is where I have a problem with Flow and Dapper is that they don't have a department that before these drops happen kind of tells these companies, like, listen, I'll tell you right now, you have 800 packs at $199.99 because you and ILG could have told them this. And we don't work for Dapper or Flow. Packs for $199.99. You're selling 800 of them. You're not going to sell more than 50 of them. No. We're telling you ahead of time, you're not. You're going to waste your time with that. And they don't get it though. They just don't get it, man. Right?
I just find it strange. Like unless they've got some data that really tells them that it's like, listen, there's VIPs and they want to pay tons of money for these exclusive things. And again, that's why I think like on the fantasy side, that makes total sense, right? Because the fantasy thing, you're using it to win more. So that makes sense. Like So Rare, Rainmakers, Makes total sense. Let people pay freaking, the one-of-one Jokic for freaking 70 grand. That makes sense. That's not only a collector, but a super rich person who wants to play in the unique challenges on So Rare to try and win more unique cards. They might not net out on that, but they're just at that level. They're in that mentality. For strictly a collectible, like we don't have that big of a market here. So selling stuff at that premium level is fucking crazy. You know what I mean? And honestly, it's been crazy for over a year. I don't think that there's a point in 2022 or 2023 where that's made sense to sell anything for nearly that price, other than you're just trying to collect revenue. And it's and the only thing worse than selling at that price is having it barely sell at that price. Right. Again, I think a lot of people would much rather spend $5 a pack, $2 a pack, whatever it is, even with a minuscule chance of legendary, than pay $200 for guaranteed legendary.
But
I think
not just
I don't think that makes sense.
I think somehow the NHL, they really want to start from scratch here, and they need to incorporate something in those packs. Like when we used to buy the packs at the store, there was always a chance of getting that one, like, gold star shiny, like
that's what I mean.
Right?
People would spend thousands on packs for the
Willy
chance
Wonka
to
style,
the rare
right?
one. Yeah.
Willy Wonka is the perfect example, man. People wanted
course.
those golden tickets. So what they do, they bought thousands of them, hoping to get the golden ticket. If the NHL could put some things in there, and not necessarily just in packs, maybe if you do something, but in packs, if in a pack instead of a moment, you could open and you got like a game used McDavid stick or something, like that was part of your pack experience, or tickets to the Stanley Cup Finals entire trip and things like that. Things where you'd have a chance, not just as collectibles, but to somehow kind of win fan experience type stuff. Like I think they're on the right track with the Lewandowski. Okay, the meet and greet and things like that. They're on the right track, and they actually put some really good players in his packs. Like they're not garbage; these are good players. But like a Zoom call with Ovechkin, if that was like a magic card that was in these packs, some weird thing like that. But also not just prizes like that are not just collectibles, but the ability to re-put them on the marketplace and sell them. So that person who got the one-on-one with Ovechkin on Zoom, if they don't want
reselling the experience, I think is a big part of it.
If they don't want it, they should be able to put it up for sale and let a super fan come in and then give that super fan who buys that or wins it a commemorative NFT of Ovechkin that goes along, a one-of-one with that experience that they keep forever. Like, you got to involve the real fans that are going to want to buy stuff like this that they can't get anywhere else. You cannot buy an Ovechkin Zoom call anywhere on this planet right now. You need to have things like that on your platform that'll kind of set you aside. I mean, don't tell me Lewandowski can do a whole campaign and he can't do a 5-minute Zoom call with a super fan. Do you know what I mean? He obviously sat there, took pictures for Golazos. He did that. There's a video of him talking about it. Forget that. Give the fans 5 minutes with him. That'll go a long way.
That would have been some good marketing for Top Shot when they did Kevin Durant. Right. It's like, it's nice to watch the video of Jacob hanging out with Kevin Durant.
Yeah, exactly.
But I agree with you. Actually, the point about making the fandom benefits also NFTs.
Absolutely.
Right. I think that's something, I don't know if they can legally do that, but I think that's something that's totally missing, that makes these things not really it makes them less of an NFT project where you have a game piece reward that is not an NFT. You look at all the other NFT projects, you look at apes, all that kind of stuff. All the rewards, everything that's promised is on chain. All of it. You can win the coin. You can win the key. You can win the fucking whatever. All of it are pieces that all fit together. So if you want to go compete, you can win the next piece of the puzzle. Whereas the Top Shots, the candies, even the So Rares is like the thing that you win is a fucking hat, which is fine. Well, why not sell the hat? Why not make the hat something you redeem as an NFT, right? And then that way, like that's a really cool element, because you could be a super collector, but that doesn't want any of those benefits. You're at the top of the leaderboard. Oh, you get to go hang out with Magic Johnson. What if you don't want to fucking do that? You should be able to sell that to somebody who really wants to go do it, even if they didn't collect. And that makes all of it a more interesting, like Web3ified version of what loyalty is now. But by not making those, like right now, if you win like let's say you're buying Top Shot packs, right? You can win a trip to the finals by buying one of the redemption packs. What if I win? I can't go. I can't sell that to anybody else. No, I don't get the value of the prize. They just go to the fucking next dude, or I could probably give it to you if you can go. I could probably transfer it to somebody. I don't know how that works, but it's like that to me. It's like no. Those benefits should be things, and then that makes it way more interesting. That it's like maybe I don't want the Ovechkin call or the Sidney Crosby call, or McDavid,
but somebody
call.
will. Somebody will.
Some
super fan will probably go
somebody
nuts.
would come to the platform strictly to buy that.
But that's exactly it. What about for baseball, batting practice? Say 10 at bats, 10 pitches at the Blue Jays batting practice on whatever day. Okay, I live in wherever, I can't go to that. If I really want to go, maybe I can fly there. Okay. But if I have this, I could put that up on the platform, and some Blue Jays fan be like, whether it be a rich guy or a super fan or whatever, they'll be like, yo, that is so dope. I'm paying 10 grand to go hit 10 pitches during their batting practice and then have a commemoration of it afterwards of whatever kind, some kind, right? You're right. That brings new fans to the platform. I feel like it has to be fun for fans.
I think that could be a really interesting unlock, is that it's a marketplace of loyalty experiences, right? I think that makes
on
a
top
lot
of
sense,
collectibles,
right? And even like a website that was successful like 10 years back was points.com. Do you remember that? And it's where it was a place where you could trade loyalty points from one provider to another.
Yeah.
So let's say you have 20,000 Marriott points and you want to trade them for freaking United Airlines points. You could do that on points.com. It didn't really work because a lot of those platforms don't let you transfer points.
Right.
NFT is a great solve.
Probably
for that.
got messy.
Like this, it's like, hey, listen, I might be a big time Top Shot collector, but I actually love going to baseball games. So maybe I want to buy the benefits from Candy, and I want to sell the ones that I get from Top Shot. Right. Like, I think that's actually really, and obviously maybe you can't do that on the same marketplace, but that to me is actually a really interesting thing. If the legal part of it allows for it to be able to buy, trade, and sell.
There's got to be a way. There has to be a way.
Experiences.
100%, man. They need to, this is where they're missing. They need to tap in to the real fandom. Okay. Because collectors are going to be collectors, but collectors can't be everything. You need actual fans that are not necessarily big collectors of stuff. That'll now have reason to collect and kind of be like, all right, that was really cool. Like, what's this platform that let me do this? Oh shit. NHL Breakaway was the reason I did this. All right. What else is on here? Oh, cool. Like, I don't know, man. And oh, am I able to get this again somewhere else? Okay. Yeah, I can. All right. I'm going to stay on this platform and keep interacting. I don't know. Just involve the fans. For me, that's my big pitch, is involve the fans somehow. People love that type of shit. People love wild card things and packs that you could, if you're going to drop 20,000 packs, which is still way too many, or whatever the hell it is, at least have some wild card things in there that'll keep people being like, man, all right, I hope I get this, chocolate golden ticket at some point, right? Whether it's an experience I can go to or not. Yeah, I think I don't know, man.
I think that's a great way to get some PR too, if you're launching a new project like this, right? Again, this is what I mean. And the NHL is starting with a clean slate. There's no angry community. There's no, the price is down because of the market. That doesn't exist for them. They have the opportunity to build really slow, really good, put out only a little bit of supply, take their time. NHL season's about to end anyway, so there's no rush, right? And it's like, and then lead this into the next bull run of being like, hey, just that's when it starts to take off, right? So you have your time. And I think a great way to even have PR is like, you can see the headlines now that NHL launching NFT collection, where half the NFTs are Zoom calls with players or something, or maybe you get a little more creative than that. That is cool. Or some of the NFTs are exclusive, never to be made again, like memorabilia pucks and sticks that are signed by players that you get to your house and shit like that. Like that, that makes a lot of sense to me. Like even for Top Shot, it's like, I don't want the highlight reel of like the Celtics winning the championship. I want to sign fucking basketball from all of them. And I want, and if I win that, I want to be able to sell it on the marketplace if I don't want it.
If I want to, yeah, exactly.
And somebody else can fucking buy it for me. I think that makes tons of sense. So I don't know. I don't know if there's a legal thing
because it taps into fandom, like real fandom, not
it's
just
fandom, but it's fandom in a way that it's the commerce of fandom. I think that's what people are missing, is that it's not just like, oh, I'm a Maple Leafs fan. How can I be more of a Maple Leafs fan? That it's like, no, but if I want to sell my fandom to the next person who wants it more, I can. Like, it's like to tokenize your fandom essentially, or commercialize it in a sense. I don't know, that makes it contrived, but I don't know. That to me is that I think that's a really interesting thought and opportunity for a lot of these projects, is to not just keep offering these fandom rewards, but go a step further than they currently, because meet and greets are nothing new, right? People have been doing meet and greets for a million friggin' years.
That is part of the job for professional athletes, is to do all, like, do you know how many things they sign? We don't see that side of it,
and celebrities, music stars, all that kind of stuff. Of course, you can win the Taylor Swift, freaking 10 fans get to hang out with her for 30 minutes before the concert, all that kind of shit. Totally. Even, actually a good platform for this is Autograph. Right? Autograph, Tom Brady autograph. We made fun of it, rightfully so, but now it's back. Tom Brady's hanging out with the holders at these events. He's throwing them passes, an experience you could literally never get anywhere else. I agree. But were those people able to win that as a person at the top of the leaderboard and then sell it to somebody else? Maybe off market, but not on market. And actually, even a thing that's been missing in the NFT space, Phil, and where I will say things like apes have not done, is tickets to their events.
Yes,
right? They're non-transferable. You when it's Ape Fest and you have because you own an ape, you can go to the thing. You cannot sell that ticket, and I think that's a mistake.
A big one.
Yeah,
I agree. You'd have so many people kind of tapping in.
Non-transferable. I think it's a little,
I don't like that.
Phil, I've got some quick hits for you today. I've got some funny quick hits. Okay, and there's only 2 of them, but I saved them specifically for you this week. The first one is the NFL announces a 3-day draft concert series this week. These are all from Boardroom. This year's NFL draft in Kansas City is shaping up to be one of the most memorable in league history, mostly due in part to the musical guests headlining each day. As reported by the NFL, day 1 will feature emo rock band Fall Out Boy ahead of their stadium and arena tour set to begin this summer. On day 2, heavy metal band Motley Crue will grace the stage. And on the final day, tribute to the host city's iconic jazz culture, Thundercat will close out the festivities. Wow.
I mean, when you think NFL, okay, you think of Thanksgiving and Super Bowl and how they usually pull off some pretty decent acts, right? I don't know. To me, where's it at? Kansas City? I don't know what the fandom is like for Fall Out Boy and Motley Crue and Thunder Alley Cats or whatever the hell you just called the last band, but that doesn't really hit me as big ticket events. I don't know. I mean,
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. It's pretty random. It seems like it's put together kind of last minute. That they're like, who
can we find? Yeah,
who's available right now? I like Fall Out Boy is kicking off their Blink 182's back on tour. They're kicking off at Coachella. Makes a lot of sense. It's like Fall Out Boy's back on tour. They're kicking off at the NFL draft.
Of all things, I know.
Yeah, of all things. Like, I think it's funny. It's like nobody's going to the NFL draft to watch a concert. That's the thing that I think is funniest. Is like they're not there to see that. So I think that's funny.
That's strange. I hadn't heard that. Okay.
Second quick hit: Derrick Rose to host Chess Festival in Las Vegas during NBA Summer League.
Ooh.
Calling all chess enthusiasts, Derrick Rose wants you to put your best piece forward. On Tuesday, the New York Knicks star announced his inaugural chess competition, aptly named Chesstival. The tournament and ensuing festivities will be held at Resorts World Las Vegas from July 7th to 8th during the NBA Summer League. Per the release, Rose's interest in the sport began while he was in 7th grade, but he didn't seriously pick it up until his 3rd year as a pro baller.
He definitely didn't pick it up.
I've been passionate about since high school, said Rose. Chess is undeniably competitive and strategic at its core, which are 2 characteristics I've always carried through my career. The competition is open to amateurs, musicians, and pro athletes. Why musicians?
My guess is that he didn't pick up chess until the last couple seasons where he hasn't come off the bench like ever. Yeah. Did you see the other night they were actually chanting his name when that blowout game and he came in?
Oh, really? I didn't see that.
Went ape shit. Yeah. Yeah, it's tough to see because Derrick Rose is still like early 30s or something. And we feel like he's like 45. He's definitely not 45. He is
34.
Young. He's 34, man. And he hasn't been relevant for a very long time because of his injuries, right? Chess is, I feel, a game that a lot of them play because they have so much time to pass on planes, on buses, whatever it is they take. We recently saw Joey Votto, Major League Baseball star for the Cincinnati Reds, who is from Toronto. I don't know if you saw this, LG, but he was down on Bloor Street playing with locals right before the season started. Like, he would show up at the local chess club, and that's like a club where nobody has a job and you just show up there to play. And he was playing with the locals, like in some hardcore games. So obviously there's a chess thing there, but I don't think, like, even on Top Shot, if I want to play chess with Derrick Rose experience,
that's not. Hey, no, this not something you can win, man. You got to show up and you got to play. I'm assuming.
I'm just saying, if it was something I could win, I don't know what I would do with it. I don't think I'd take that. I don't think I'd even bother.
Yeah. Derrick Rose does feel old, but he's in the same draft as Russell Westbrook.
That's true.
And Kevin Love, which also I feel like Kevin Love feels super old.
He feels super old. Like, I feel like he's like a 45-year. He's like the Udonis Haslam of the league for me right now.
But they're all the same age. They're all 34. It's really
wild.
And same with like Brooke Lopez and who else is in this draft? Robin Lopez, JaVale McGee, who also feels mega old. Ibaka,
crazy when you think that LeBron is older than these guys, man.
George Hill. DeAndre Jordan.
George.
The 2008 draft is a strange thing.
Those guys
are strange plays.
No relevance to any of those guys.
Let's get to the hot take of the week. So this week's question, and actually I have a story about this, Phil, from one of our listeners, our dear listener Steve, who called me the other day. Somebody I know outside of NFTs, but also loves listening to the show. Is a big UFC fan. We were talking about the UFC event in Vancouver, which we're planning to go to, and he told me that he's really enjoying the nostalgia element of our show, that he loves hearing us talk about smoking paper cigarettes or chocolate cigarettes and all the stuff we used to do, the games we used to play, everything basically. Like he referred to it as like the first minute is like a half 90s nostalgia show. And that what he would really like to hear us talk about is 90s TV shows and sitcoms.
Oh boy.
So this week's hot take is, what 90s sitcom should become an NFT collection and why?
Oh.
So, Phil, I'm going to read you some of the best
nuts,
answers.
man.
And then Phil, I also want you to chime in.
This thing blew up my Twitter today, man. I'm like, what is happening? I try not to read these because we're giving out a prize. I don't want to be biased to people we know, so I try not to read them. But there was so much conversation going on today that I couldn't really help it. I had to check a few of them out. So read me the best ones, and I'll chime in on this stuff because we had some good times.
If you answer anything but Seinfeld, it's the wrong take. Look for special Art Vandelay parallels and exclusive Ass Man mid-mints. That's pretty good.
We were like a step behind Seinfeld, right? I mean, our parents watched it when we were in our rooms trying to sleep, and you'd hear them like laughing and playing it loud and stuff like that. But we weren't in the era that actually watched Seinfeld. We were too young, right? I think if we watched Seinfeld, it was when they would call us down to like laugh at something crazy. Yeah. Like I think our dad showed us the beefaroni moment where the horse farts and shit like that like 1,000 times.
I think the later seasons were old enough to appreciate some of the humor. I actually recently rewatched like most of the series, and I never realized how horny the show is. I don't know if you realize that either, but it's like 95% of the storylines are about the three of them trying to get laid.
That's right.
And it was like, whoa, what the hell? Like I didn't really realize that, but rewatching, you're like, wow, like so much of it is about like their sex lives, but it's not a sexual show, if that makes sense.
No, that's
know what I mean? But it's very strange to rewatch it and then know that everybody's parents used to watch it religiously.
Bizarre.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
okay. Next one. I'm just gonna go through them. I want the whole TGIF collection. Can't pick just one show. Home Improvement, because Jonathan Taylor Thomas Collectibles could single-handedly onboard half the women in the world. Wow.
That's someone that used to read Bop magazine, 100%.
Someone like you, yeah. Okay. South Park, which premiered in 1997. It has always been reflective of current events, trends, and memes, even mocking NFTs and crypto. Who wouldn't want to own a Kenny, Chef, or a Cartman? It has a special relationship with Canada.
I'm going to say this, and it's not going to be popular. I hate South Park. I always have. I've never liked it. I've never found it funny. Yes, I know about the jabs towards Canada. I still think that's why Tony Kornheiser waves that Canadian flag at the end of his show every freaking day because of South Park. But yeah, that whole blame Canada thing, like I never found South Park funny. I was just like, man, why is this on right now? Show me cops and stuff. I don't want to watch this crap. I don't like South Park. So that one's out.
Next one, Family Matters, with the Genesis moment ending with Urkel at a Toronto Raptors game, filming himself next to DeMar DeRozan's daughter, screaming her head off and him going crazy.
Come on, man. We just showed that last week. But yeah, no, Family Matters. Is that what he was on? Yeah. That's actually one of my favorite shows of all time. I think I saw every single episode when we were kids. And you know, one of my favorite moments was the Steven Urkel versus Stefan Urkel. When they turned his character into that really good-looking, like sharp,
he built a machine that would make him a hunk. That was the storyline. Is he was tired of being a nerd, and it turned him into a hunk. And it was shocking because nobody knew what that guy looked like when he was not dressed as a nerd, and he was like shockingly handsome. That's what was crazy about it.
How do you remember that? That's exactly what the storyline was.
Yeah,
I don't remember storyline.
He built himself a machine to make himself a hunk. Man. And then so that Laura would love him.
That's good. And you know,
yeah,
I would pick that entry if Steve Urkel came to the Raptors game dressed as Steve Urkel.
As Steve Urkel, yeah.
Yeah. And if he showed up every year, if he was like a regular at events, like some of these people are, then yeah, that'd be a good idea. But no.
Maybe he could be the new Will Ferrell for the Raptors. Okay, next one. Home Improvement. This is an alt for me with 8 seasons, plenty of celeb cameos, and memorable moments like the man's kitchen, the man's bathroom, and Christmas lights contest. There's plenty of variety to be had.
That Christmas lights contest, which was a thing every year, that also takes me really far back because I watched every single episode of that. And one of my favorite things every year, LG, was the Christmas episodes of all these sitcoms. They all had one, right? And it was always something like crazy. And Home Improvement was one of the best ones, where Tim Allen would go to war with his neighbor over the Christmas lights. That's some real nostalgia right there. I like that one.
Okay, let's go on to the next one. You don't have to give a long comment on each one either, because there's a lot of entries.
Well, when you hit a string with shows, it's like I have to say something. Unless you mentioned the Green Forest, that was a shitty show. So
I'm going to skip some of the shorter ones. I want long explanations.
Short, we don't accept. No, you okay, here we go. Make me laugh.
Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, one of the most beloved sitcoms in the 90s, would hit a wide and diverse demographic, which would send these NFTs from somewhere in crappy Philly to the mansion life in sunny Cali. Also, who doesn't want a legendary Carlson dance? Carlton, I think they meant to write.
Did you know that with my first ever job, which was at a shoe store called Athlete's World, I sold shoes to Carlton from Fresh Prince. I don't know what he was doing there. I have no freaking clue what he was doing there. I was just like a rookie. I was like 18 or 19 years old. I was told to work on the floor and just sell shit for commission. And he came in and wanted to buy shoes. And I was like, all right, well, here, the shoes. Man, when you're ready, give my name.
He's actually a lot younger than I thought. He's only 51. I guess Will's also like in
do you know how, speaking of that, I don't want to extend this too much. Do you know how old Pharrell is?
Also like 50.
Dude, I was shocked when I heard Pharrell's 50 something or just turned 50. I was like, what? Pharrell looks like he's a little kid.
Yeah, he's 50. He just turned 50. Damn. I mean, he's like, even like Neptunes and stuff though. Like that's like pretty old Snoop Dogg music. You know what I mean? That they collab with. Like that's a long time ago.
Long time ago.
Yeah. Yeah. He's always given off that young vibe, I think. Okay. Man, you guys gave some good answers. The Simpsons is the right answer here. Huge cast of characters and so many variations to the main characters throughout the years. Multi-generational fan base and so many interesting possibilities to gamify the collector experience.
I agree. I like Simpsons because we never watched Simpsons. I know it's like criminal, but Dad, all your fault. Dad, if you made it this far in the episode, though, I'll give you props. So I'm not going to say anything crazy, but yeah, we weren't really allowed to watch Simpsons. The only time I really got into it, LG, was when someone died. Who the hell died? Someone got
Mr. Burns.
Mr. Burns was shot.
Yeah, it was the huge mystery of the summer was
because we had
Mr. Burns.
We had a grade school teacher, Monsieur Cormier, that like spent an entire month instead of teaching whatever he was supposed to be teaching. Wanted us to investigate who killed Mr. Burns. So I had to kind of really tap into it, right? So, but Simpsons is actually a really good one that I could see being really popular. So I'll keep that one in mind. I like that one.
And Simpsons also has one of the most popular memes, which is Homer backing into the bushes. You ever seen that?
And Bart writing on the board.
Bart writing on the board, and Principal Skinner saying pathetic. That one's the one that I see all the time. somehow.
No, but the Homer into the bushes is, I've posted that one 1,000 times.
Yeah, exactly. And someone did point that out. They said it's The Simpsons. The 90s contain all the classic episodes, tons of guest stars, and there's a huge nostalgia factor. And Homer backing into the bushes, one of one. That's pretty good. Okay. The only one that has enough care. Okay, this is also Simpsons, so I'm gonna skip it. Saved by the Bell. Only mint one Kelly Kapowski. Easy money.
I like Saved by the Bell, but you have to give me a better pitch than that. Like, come on. I love Kelly Kapowski. I really did. And Saved by the Bell. If you've watched Saved by the Bell your entire life, which I'm trying to get my kids to watch it, but it's actually hard to find on any platform. Like it was on Disney. Now it's gone. It's not on Netflix. It's really hard to find because I'm like, you guys would love this show. Just believe me. I know you don't like old shows. You guys would love Saved by the Bell. That was my favorite show of all time. But if you used to watch Saved by the Bell and you haven't watched Saved by the Bell, the Vegas movie, you cannot call yourself a fan. LG knows we watched that movie like 5,000 times.
Phil, we watched that the night before you got married. I don't know if you remember that, but it was like you're getting married the next morning,
Yeah.
preparing every day for like weeks, and then like we literally fell asleep watching that movie.
That is amazing.
The morning before you got married.
What was the big punchline in there again? What happens? I forgot what happens.
I don't know. Their car breaks down. They owe some money or some shit.
Yeah, that's right.
The guy who does the parrot voice from Aladdin is in it. That's
yeah. Okay, yeah. No, that Siegfried guy or whatever the hell is it? Yeah, you know what? It's
it's not Siegfried.
Yeah, it is. Yes, it is. That's what it is.
Hold on.
It's like Martin Siegfried or something.
No, it's not Gilbert Gottfried.
Okay, well, I was close enough.
It's not Siegfried.
But anyways, if you haven't checked that movie out, like that was just like we thought the whole thing was over. The college thing was garbage. We never watched that.
No, that sucked. Yeah,
but the movie was a real throwback. Like the characters finally came back like years later, and I think anyone who grew up in that era, that was probably the biggest show aside from like Simpsons and stuff. But I love the idea, but I don't like the pitch. I mean, Kelly Kapowski, 1 of 1. That's cool, but that's it. Like that's your pitch. Come on, man. We need better than that.
Full House. Who didn't want the swag of Jesse with the humor of Joey? # cut it out.
Again, Full House, one of my top 3 favorites of all time. But where's the sales pitch here? What are we doing with this thing? Like, what are we collecting?
There's not a lot. Did someone say 90s sitcoms? If Gary V and Do V friends, then what? What the fuck? An OG Friends collection with everyone's favorite clips from the show.
Okay. The minute you mention Gary V, you're out the window. So gone. Delete.
I don't know if there's any other like long ones. There's kind of somebody wrote Martin because who wouldn't want a Shanae debut? I never watched Martin.
I never watched Martin.
No.
Shanae. Is that Grandmama? What show is Grandmama on? Was that Family Matters?
Said that. So, Phil, one thing that nobody said, and I tried to hint everybody at it with my comment earlier on the tweet, and this is what I wrote. Let me find it. I wrote, advice for everyone competing. The only thing Phil loved more than his Baywatch posters was Topanga from Boy Meets World. Make of that as you will.
I was obsessed.
So you can give me the prize if you want.
I actually used to get the Bop magazines just for like pictures of her. And I actually, like back then, the only way to interact with celebrities was to like look up their address in these magazines because they would give you an address of like their promotion companies or whatever where you could send like letters. And I think I sent her letters. I was really young when that show was airing, like mid-teens, I guess. And I was like, I'm in love with you. Can you like want to go on a date or something? Like, I don't know what the hell I was writing, but I would write it. And then I would always get like a signed picture back. Like, no, I didn't ask for that.
You got a signed picture back of her?
I got a lot of signed. Like I used to send hockey, baseball, and basketball cards to athletes all the time. And they would always send them back signed. That was a really cool era for that kind of stuff. Because I think back then they knew it was genuinely from kids when you would send it in, right? It wasn't from like crazy collectors. But I would send them to all these celebrities too. And then she ended up sending me, you know who else I was obsessed with that sent me a signed picture? Was Stephanie on Full House. I got
you really loved her. Yeah.
That was on my little secret box in my room, all these signed pictures of these girls. And but it's not what I was looking for with them. You know, like I was kind of like had huge crushes. And you know, but back then is like there was no DMs and stuff like that. You couldn't.
No, there's no like way.
You couldn't. There was no way. Like I can't even.
They
imagine
were very
myself.
like very unattainable. Like they're very distant.
That's right.
Yeah.
No, you had to handwritten letters that would take like 3 weeks to get there and like 6 months to come back to you. Like that was the communication, right? You might as well use a freaking bottle in the ocean.
So wait, so if you had to. In an alternate reality, you can only marry Stephanie from Full House or Topanga. Who are you choosing? And not by today. Not by today. Like
no, not by today.
Like at the time of like the height of your emotions. Then
I think, man, you'll probably be shocked by this. I would have to say probably Stephanie, because Topanga was massive, but the show was just like I wasn't as much into it as Full House. Full House lasted forever. And it was such a big part of our lives that like that crush lasted for a long, long time. So, I'll have to say Stephanie. I don't know if people would agree with that though, but you're right. Now, I don't even know where they are now. Actually, I saw Stephanie recently getting like destroyed in some protest. Like she got tackled by the cops and rolled down a hill. Did you see that video? No, I'm serious. You have to see it. She gets absolutely destroyed by cops. Like she gets launched down a hill. I'm not even joking. She rolls like 1,000 times onto the street. Like it was insane. That happened recently. But yeah.
I don't know. Maybe you dodged a bullet, Phil. She did do a lot of drugs, which is
she was messed up for a long time. But she's out of that now. She has a family and everything. That whole thing's over.
Phil keeps up. Phil's keeping up.
I feel LG that every single child actor and child performer ends up having major issues. I don't know what it is. If you look at like the Macaulay Culkins and
it's a twisted thing. It's a messed up thing to be a star when you're like 10.
No, it is. And to have people waiting for you
right.
everywhere, right?
Yeah.
It is messed up. And a lot of them have so many issues. Like even Bieber, man. The guy's not normal, right? I love Justin Bieber and I love his music and all that. But there's something off with the guy. You can tell that he's been in this since he was 13 or 14. And it's had an impact on him mentally, right? You can tell he's not, he's got that kind of weird side to him.
Stephanie from Full House, whose real name is Jodie Sweetin, has 2.5 million Instagram followers, which is 1.5 million followers more than Connor McDavid, who might be the greatest hockey player in the last 40 years.
That's just how it works. Like, come on, man. Seriously.
That's how bad the NHL is promoting their stars. And
if
I think
someone had said
probably as many followers as 1 million more followers than Aaron Judge.
If someone had said that, all you had to say, if you've listened to our shows before, is that you're minting an NFT of Danny Tanner walking the plank at that restaurant, that pirate restaurant, where everyone's screaming plank and he gets furious that they nominated his ass and that pirate is like, get your ass up and get on the plank. I would have bid on that in a heartbeat. But I've got a winner in mind so far. Do you have any more submissions?
No, that's it. Tell me who you like.
So I think, based on everything I've heard, I was kind of looking more for a sales pitch in terms of what I'd be doing in this project. And I think one of the most fun times I had in my young life was not just watching the shows, but I'm going back to The Simpsons, that whole Mr. Burns thing. Like when we were put to the investigative task and there was all these theories, like I think maybe that's where I kind of developed that, the desire to find out about rumors and have a kind of a TMZ, personality is what I have. I think it goes back to the Simpson days of that, because our teacher literally tasked us on finding out who killed Mr. Burns for a whole month. And we came up with 1 million theories. And then when they finally revealed it, was like, oh my God, after all that. And I think you could do so much with Simpsons. Simpsons had a very successful video games. Simpsons had very successful movies. I think you could do a lot of gamification and things people would like, kind of like with Seussibles and those things with The Simpsons. So I think I'll have to pick the Simpsons entry as
which one though? There's a few different ones. It's the Simpsons, the one, and they literally put a GIF of Homer backing into the bushes. The Homer backing into the bushes would have won. The other one was the Simpsons. Right answer. Huge cast of characters. Multi-generational fan base. So many interesting possibilities to game.
That one. Okay. That was the one. I looked at all of them pretty much. That was the one I liked.
There was another one that said the only one that has enough characters to satisfy a truly unique 10K collection that people would want to collect and will sell out. There's only one, The Simpsons, in case you would like that one too.
So here's the deal. If the person who's listening to the person who submitted that second one, if you're listening right now, then you're a winner too. But if you're not, then I guess you'll never know.
It's Mark Herson DJ who wrote the second one. Okay. And the one that you liked, Phil, was written by Matt Tice, who is working on the NHL project.
Oh, wow. That's not fixed. I'm not joking.
Matt is definitely, I hope if Matt, you know what, let's find out if Matt actually listens to the episodes, because we spent like half an hour talking about his project. Let's see if he actually listens to the end.
I really recommend and suggest that this is an episode he listened to be honest with you. So let's hope he does. This will be a good one for him to listen to. I mean, we didn't talk much about Candy today. So Meg from Candy, if you're listening, actually, LG, before we wrap up, the plays of the day came out today on Candy. Were there any Blue Jays moments? Or plays of the week? I'm sorry. Plays of the week came out on Candy. Were there any Blue Jays? Because I went in the Discord rampaging last time after our episode.
Is there anything from the Jays that you'd want to see this week?
Oh man, they just beat the Yankees.
Yeah, they beat the
Yankees in Yankee Stadium in a series after Vladdy went there and before game one said that he would never, even if dead, wear the Yankees uniform.
They got to find a way to mint sound bites like that. I think that's what UFC
love
kind of
it
did
so
that with different sound bites. I
No,
think that's
but
what people really want.
Apparently, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. doesn't speak English like 10 years into his tenure with the Jays, which it's the biggest BS ever. For whatever reason, he continues to roll out that interpreter. We all know he speaks English. He was born in Canada and he grew up in Canada.
No, dude, if I was like that, I'd have the interpreter anyways.
Oh,
I
he
think
does it
it'd
on
be
purpose.
hilarious.
I know he
Yeah.
does.
It's like you're like some kind of Bond villain or something like that.
Because then
where
he
it's
just
like,
pretends he doesn't know
English, and
anything,
then-
and he tells the interpreter to clean up all his responses. He's like, okay, just if I say F you to the Yankees, you say, oh, I don't ever want to wear a Yankees jersey, like some shit like that.
Mhm.
All right, what do we got?
There are no Jays plays. The
Oh,
epic
Meg.
is like
Okay,
Clayton
Meg.
Kershaw 200th win.
Okay, that's ridiculous. Meg, we gave you some airtime this week again. She actually did give me a condition. I forgot what it was. Something about eating. If I go to the Jays game and eat poutine dogs, then they'll let me pick a Jays moment or some story like that.
They should. How about if they send you to the Jays game, Phil? I think that'll be a lot better.
I think they should.
Send Phil to the Jays game. Don't make him
Send
go
me
there
to
and
the
eat a
Jays
poutine
game,
dog.
one of those tiny little microphones that I always see these jokers with, and let me talk to people there.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Let's send Phil out to do some streeters at the Jays game. I think that'd be pretty good. All right, Phil. Thank you for the great show, and we'll see you guys next week on the First Mint.
See ya.